No, Giants won. Yes. Wait, it just said Giants. No, they won. Oh, no, I read it wrong.
Okay, the meeting is called to order at 5:04 p.m. We don't need to take a roll call. Comments from the public regarding items on closed session? Nada. And we will now recess to closed session.
Yeah, no business.
Right, we're out.
And get them locked in. Okay, you guys.
Ready?
We are ready.
Well, it's the one.
Okay, lovely people, it is 6 o'clock on the dot. And we are returning to open session. And the first item is to pledge allegiance to the flag.
Over in the.
Over in the center. I pledge allegiance to the
Flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, peace and justice for all.
Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second, please. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that is approved. We now have public comments submitted by, sorry. What about? We're gonna do,
Number H.
public comments submitted by email.
No.
That's attached, there was only one.
Oh, there, I see.
Input from
Nice,
the
okay.
regarding.
So items, public comment regarding items not on the open agenda. And we have a number of them, and we will start with Dale Dowdy.
Oh, really?
Oh, really?
Well, it's a little bit moot because Ms. Peterson is not here. Ms. Peterson is not here, but I just wanted to acknowledge the board has a star performer. And if you went to Mamma Mia last weekend, you know, we know that Alina has a voice, but she took center stage, threw her arms up in the air and belted it out to the back of the room. And she has a great voice and it was a very entertaining performance. So credit to the cast and the crew and the director and everybody that put it down.
Nice,
That's
thank
great,
you,
thanks.
thank you.
Lily Smithhammer, you're up.
I thought I'd break it up so that my board address wouldn't be super long. I mean, this is a separate issue. Lily Spencehammer. At last month's meeting, the decision to eliminate two district office positions deeply impacted many in our community. The public turnout showed how important these positions and employees are to all of us. Observing the board's proceedings, it appeared that the trustees voted without engaging in deliberation or posing questions to the superintendent. This approach may have unintentionally suggested the decision to eliminate was predetermined, diminishing public trust in the board's transparency. The California School Boards Association emphasizes that trustees are elected to ensure school districts reflect the values and priorities of their communities. Active engagement during public session is vital in this role. The Brown Act requires that the actions and deliberations of public agencies should be conducted openly to maintain public confidence. It states the people insist on remaining informed so that they may retain control over the instruments they've created. I understand there are complexities in governing a school district. However, visible engagement during public session through thoughtful questions and open discussions reinforces the community's trust in the board's commitment to conduct proper oversight over the district. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. It's on.
Thank you. So I'm Tom Bowe, I'm with the Sebastopol Rotary Education Foundation.
Can you talk right into this speaker?
I'm sorry.
Microphone, you can have it off.
Closer to the mic.
Yes,
Okay,
thank you.
There we go. So the Sebastopol Rotary Education Foundation, which is a separate group from the Sebastopol Rotary Club, started by the club about 20 years ago. And we're an educational foundation. We deal, strictly with education projects, and we're limited to West County. So it's going to be we recently had a board of trustees meeting and decided on 6 good projects to fund, added up to 105,000. Most of these projects are in your realm. 3 of the projects will affect you. And so I want to present the checks. I've been told to give to Andrew because he holds all the money here. So the first one is where the Hanley CDL. Where did it go? Thank you. Dropped it. Oh, this is the Hanley CTE Sports Medicine Program. Talking about, and let's check for $50,000. We were impressed with that program, mainly because it's something that's linked to the junior college. It's a career path, which is really important for somebody like me that's thinking about hiring caregivers at home. It's really, but I know it's sports medicine. Anyway, it's a great program. The second one is for Laguna High School, and it's $5,000 for a music program. And the reasoning there is we love Laguna. I personally have worked on a project called Overcoming Obstacles Award for some 15 years, working with Laguna. And I've gotten to know the staff, Shannon and Greg, predecessors, and they do some great work. So that's a good project. The third project is not in your budget, but it's something for the Maker Ed program. It's basically $3,500. It's going to go to Dale, and that's to pay for a summer school. So I'll put those checks to Andrew and Dale, and that's it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Jamie Malone.
From Laguna. I'm Jamie Malone from Laguna High School. Thank you very much. I'm excited to tell you about 2 events that we've had. First, 2 weeks ago, we had 5 students participate in the youth leadership group at the Pioneers Conference, which was down at Cal Berkeley. They met and connected with youth from around the world and kids from the UK, from New Jersey, New York, Hawaii, LA, San Diego, among others. They learned a lot about social and environmental justice, and that how we treat others has a larger impact than we may see immediately. And they left with a new air about themselves and a connection to not only Laguna, but the world. So it was a really exciting event. Second, I put a flyer for you all, but I want to invite you to our spring festival, which is next Friday, April 18th, from 4 to 7 p.m. And our student council has been putting together some activities. They're going to sell pizza. They've got a music playlist together. They're going to host a silent auction. They're trying to fund their end of the year events. So we hope that some of you will stop by. Thanks.
Thank you. Very perfect.
Did that do it?
Yes.
All right, thank you. I'm Mary Fricker, Almerino mother and grandmother. I'm horrified that we are forcing Karen Lamb to leave. I couldn't come to last month's meeting. I did read about this in the Sebastopol Times, thank you, Dale. But I thought this was one of those positions that would probably be retrieved in May. Now I find out that Karen is being replaced. And I am heart sick about it. Whenever a longtime employee is dismissed in a business or in a public agency, that is a failure of management. Failure to plan ahead, failure to train, failure to be creative. And this is a perfect example. I wish Karen were here tonight. I wanted to say to her, Karen, so many people here love you. Thank you.
Casey Joe.
Oh, yeah.
No, please.
Too late. Too late.
I want to echo further sentiments from Dale and just congratulate the Future Arts Program and Annalie for a wonderful production of Mamma Mia. It's our estimations from ticket sales. That we had around 1,000 people, probably nearer to 1,200 people. And Lily Borgeson has been doing a fantastic job, and thanks to Brooke Bell as well for the choreography. There we go. And Randy Paul for all that he does for stage and lights and sound. And it was very successful, and despite a few setbacks with QR codes and kind of the ASB accounting, it was very successful. And congrats to all the performers that were a part of it. Something that earlier this year I was impressed by, I was at a music event. A few of our band students were at in Chico, and a few students from Casa Grande High School came up to me and said, hey, your performance of Legally Blonde was amazing. We went and saw it. We did Legally Blonde. It was so great to see other schools doing it. And that's the kind of community building I really love to see, especially through the arts. And I'm sure a few of the students who attended Mamma Mia this year were of the same students, and they all support each other. It's really great to see that. If you can't tell from my attire, I'm getting ready for the Apple Blossom Parade. I just wanted to be very grateful out loud for Prop 20 and helping us purchase these jackets. And for past supplies, the hats that you see, and some of them are called bibs, are from the supply that we have that was from the El Molino program, as well as the Annalie bandwagon. So it was kind of a community effort to put this whole uniform together, and I'm really excited to have all of the students march down Main Street in these things. And the feather you see up top, this is the one that drum majors that will wear. The rest of the band folks will wear an all black stuff. So I'm really excited for that, and I think it's gonna, okay, this is too much. I think it's gonna be a wonderful time, so I'm really excited for that.
Are you wearing one too? Or you're gonna surprise us?
You have to come and see it.
Okay.
It will definitely be this color scheme for sure. Yes, I do have a few adult sizes. I have a lot of freshmen, so all the smaller uniforms, but if anyone wants to hold the banner, please email me. You could fit in one of these. All right, and then some of the events that we have coming up. We have the Bowling West County Film Festival. It's April 22nd and 23rd. The first few days in May will be the dance show. I believe that's here. And then at the end of May, we'll have a series of concerts. May 19th is the jazz concert. The 21st is the choir concert at Annalie, excuse me, and the band concert also at Annalie. So jazz here and number 2, and you'll hear that. I'll come remind you in the beginning of May too. And I just wanted to shout out and thank you, especially to Chuck, for working with me to keep the instrumental class. I'm working on adding a CTE credential, and I've been talking to the music department chair at the JC to see how we can articulate that program and connect it. Not only are there careers, as we know, in performance, and but there's also careers in production and sound, and my hope, much like the theater production, is to create and support community events through those potential careers. And this is all things that are already on the catalog, they're all board approved, so we're not creating, cannibalizing anything that doesn't already exist, and I'm really excited to continue to support the programs and the instrumental, as well as just seeing the arts thrive in our district, so thank you so much. You're gonna excuse me, I'm gonna go change now.
Okay, Casey. Henry Atherley.
Actually, be Rebecca Davenport instead of Henry Atherley. Hello, I'm Rebecca Davenport, and I'm going to read a letter that should be included in your packet that has some data for you to refer to. So I'm speaking on behalf of the math department. Can you hear me? Okay. We would like to draw your attention to the fact that our plan schedule for next year is slashing 4 sections of math. This year we've had 49, and we're given 45 for next year. And this is problematic for several reasons, and I'll go into it by reading my letter so I don't go off topic. Annalee offers a range of courses you would expect at a comprehensive public high school, from AP courses to personal finance to prepare students for the range of pathways they may be on. Each of these courses is essential and has strong enrollment and interest. Our greatest challenge as math teachers is meeting the needs of the diversity of learners in our classes, especially students who've come to us with low skills, students with IEPs and 504 plans, and English language learners. This year, some classes have had support from push-in special ed teachers and paraeducators, which we understand is likely to decrease next year. The only way to mitigate this loss and still support students would be to decrease class size. Rather, we have a plan to increase class size. Last year, Superintendent Meredith explained that we would be cutting math support classes, but offsetting that by reducing class sizes for our 2 courses that are required for graduation, Math 1 and Math 2, and that did happen. And this year we had an average class size of just under 24 for those 2 classes. This year, we have almost 1,200 students enrolled in 49 math classes. Next year, we have 1,346 students signed up for math classes, but we're planning to only have 45 sections. So if you refer to the table that I've put in here, that means this year, our average class size overall is 24.4. And then next year, that would be projected to be 29.9, or basically 30, which is far over what we want for those Math 1 and Math 2 classes. And some are just untenably large. That is a 22.5% increase in overall class size. So when you look at percentages, that is really where you see the difference. It's harder to tell with raw numbers, but when I ran the percentages, that's a huge increase. 2 takeaways from these numbers are students really want math classes. That's pretty exciting. There are some kids this year and next year who are signed up for more than one. We have been successful in creating a more positive mindset and culture so that fewer students are giving up on math. They want to take it all 4 years. They realize how important higher math is to their futures, whether they plan to go into business, a trade, or college. This increase in average class size is disappointing and depressing, and looks like a great way to lose the positive momentum that we've been building. The other data that I included in the packet is a spreadsheet that shows how Michelle Trevino has been trying to assign the 45 sections and figuring out how to keep those Math 1 and Math 2 sections smaller and still give the older students all the classes that they're looking for. But you can see we have some sizes that would just be unreasonable. Like if we keep AP statistics at 2 sections, they each have 42 kids. Personal business finance, we have amazing interest in. That class is getting more popular every year. Students learn about the real world skills they're always asking for and saying they don't get in high school. They're going to be learning how to make a budget, how to pay taxes, how credit works, how to invest. And if we have 3 sections, there are going to be 40 students in each class. And Mr. Atherley's room is not big enough for 40 students. It's exciting to see how many students are interested in advanced math classes. We had 109 students sign up for Accelerated Math 3. And so we have to increase that from 2 to 3 sections. And if we do that, we're going to have 36 kids in each class. More students have signed up for AP Statistics. Did we turn them away? We can't switch them to AP Calculus because that class has 34 students signed up. So we're gonna have one nice full student class section of AP Calculus. We don't have places to move them around, but we should also honor their interest in giving them the classes that fit their own personal goals. So please look at the numbers we're working with, refer to the tables, and consider our amazing students who are turning the tables on some old anti-math stereotypes. They need choices, challenge, and support. We would ideally like our classes to be no larger than 30, and according to our contracts, we get overage pay above 31 students per class. And we want to keep those Math 1 and Math 2 classes around 25 students per class. So right now, what we're asking for in order to accomplish getting close to this is 5 sections, and you can see where we would allot them. And if we did that, if we got the 5 sections, we could still be at a higher class average than we are this year. So we're really just trying to keep our status quo and not lose so much. If we were to have 50 sections of math instead of 45, that's about 27 students overall. So it's still an increase in average class size. So please consider adding 5 sections of math now. It's a lot harder to do in August in terms of hiring and scheduling. So now would be the time. And last point, don't forget those test scores. We've been working really hard with admin to try to come at it from every angle. But if class sizes go up and we have less support for struggling students, it's not going to work. Thank you.
Thank you, Em. Thank you for bringing this in a way that really has a lot of data and with, it feels like a little compassion for the hard job that we're trying to do, but thank you. This is important and it's a master scheduling issue and we will certainly be talking with Chuck and Chris and see what we can do. So thank you. Really appreciate the input. Okay. Let's go to the consent calendar. We have one public comment for something on the agenda. We'll wait and we'll do that when we get to that agenda. Consent calendar. Do we have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So moved.
Second.
I'll second.
Any discussion, any issues with consent? All those in favor?
Aye.
Calendar is approved. Action on items heard in closed session, Sean?
So the board took action in closed session under agenda item number D1 to approve the request for a 1.0 FTE leave of absence from certificated staff member for the 2025-2026 school year. The vote was Buckner, aye, Trinella, aye, Fernandez, aye, Helm, aye, Gutierrez, aye.
Thank you. Reports. Student representative, I'm going to put it in the singular, not plural, since you.
Can I make a quick comment? I'm sorry. We are in a different space. We haven't been here in a while and people are reaching out to me. It's very hard for them to hear you. Could you pull your microphones closer when speaking? The room at the, nobody likes to sit in the front. The front is available. But they can't hear you in the back of the room. Thank you.
Alina, I wanted to let you know that you missed a very wonderful comment from Mr. Dale Doherty about what you did with regards to the play and how wonderful you were. So I just wanted you to.
Thank you. That's gonna be one of the things I want to talk about. We had the musical, and if you didn't go, you really missed out because it was really, really fun. I was in it. It was really good. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Yeah, a reason why our set was so wonderful is because of the Prop 28 money that Miss B got to use. So yeah, it was really, really, really fun. I'm really glad. So you came and saw it. That makes me really happy. Okay, there's my report. We had some course selection for next year. For us to pick our classes. We have a new phone rule where students can't get their phones out during class if it seems taken, which is I think timing's a bit strange for the end of the year, but it's been pretty effective and good. I think it's good that we're more, like we talk more instead of looking at phones and stuff. And so you can't have it out, like if you go to the bathroom either, but I think it's good. CASP testing for juniors is this week. Jonah and I both had it today. Math is this week, English is next week, and science is the week after. And then we have AP tests coming up in May. Class elections for next year's leadership positions and your new SB board rep, Jonah Karan. Good job, Jonah. Yeah, for sports, we have softball, baseball, and swim going on, and I think boys golf. Sorry, is this better? I feel like that's really loud.
You're good.
Okay, thanks, Jen. So yeah, those are all happening right now. So go support if you want. Also, I don't know if any of you guys in here have Instagram, but the Annalee Athletics always posts what games are happening that week. So yeah, we had a job fair for 2 days, I think, and that was really cool. You could go from 10 through 12:30 and look at a lot of different internships over the summer or volunteer opportunities or just summer jobs. And that was really cool. I got to walk around and look at their stuff offered. It was really fun. Prom coming up. So yeah, we have our venue picked out at the backdrop and we got all of our decorations today in leadership. So we got to look at those, which was really fun. And coming up on the 29th, which is a Tuesday at 6 p.m. here, we have Annalee Future Ready Night. So that'd be cool. I'm pretty sure it's with the JC, right? Yeah. Mom? Pretty sure.
Different organizations.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Different organizations. Thanks, Mom. So that'll be good to, plan your future and stuff. And then we have Climate Action Night coming up too. That's at the JC. That's this month. I'm sorry, I don't have the date off the top of my head, but that's where if you're in either AP Environmental Science or Physics, I mean, anyone can go, but those classes at Annalee get to go and make presentations if they want, and that's pretty cool. It's with a couple of other schools and a couple of JC classes. So that'll be really interesting. Volleyball open gyms are happening, which is fun. It's every Wednesday from like 7 through 9:30, I think. So that's pretty fun. And then we have Spring Club Day coming up as well, where all the clubs for school get to have tables at lunch and sell food and snacks and talk about their clubs. That's really yeah, it was a bit of a weird start to school after spring break. We had a weird teacher situation and then like some paraphernalia found in the bathroom. So it was just, sorry if that's like crass, but I thought it'd just be important that like I'd also talk about school culture because, well, Annalee, I've always felt very safe there and it is a very safe school. Sometimes, everywhere, sometimes things happen and it just, so yeah, the start back to school was a little weird and uneasy, but it's been good since then. We have a lot of good happening too. And yeah, programs across the school are getting ready for the Apple Blossom Parade and the marches like that we're gonna have, and I'm feeling good. It's fun. Yeah. Also, I'm signing up for personal business finance, and I don't want a class of 40, please, guys. That sounds hard. And I've had 2 years now where I've had a math class 7th period, and I just think it's really important to be articulate and very just articulate with how we plan math classes and math sizes because it's really important and it changes how you learn. Like my freshman year, I was in a math 1 class with 35 kids. That was really hard. And like for some of my friends that aren't as good as math, they struggled really hard and it was a really big jump from math 1 to math 2. So yeah, I just think it's important that we treat that as the class that holds it as much importance as it does, because math is really important. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Lena. Association reports.
To be on the microphone in this room, I miss the space. So my name is Julie McClelland, I'm a librarian, I'm the chapter president of CSEA. I'd love to hear what Rotary is doing. I don't know if you guys know, I don't think I've shared this, the Russian River Rotary, purchased, quite a number of books that are related to mental health, that they are slowly donating back to the library. So they said, could you put together a whole list? Yep, and Dan's been bringing them from the meetings, so as they have a different speaker, then that person signs it, and it's just really sweet. We found a really good list. I worked with one of the members to find those that would really be helpful for kids maybe that are going through something or somebody in their family to just support those kids. So sometimes people come and say, you know, I need a book about this is happening. Is there something I could read that, you know, or this is happening, I'm sad about this, and this is in my. Anyway, thank you, Rotary, you're awesome. So we go back into negotiations tomorrow, and we're looking forward to amicable negotiations, where we're there with a common purpose, right? And that purpose is that all classified employees should be thriving, so the whole district can thrive. We can't thrive as a district without our classified employees, right? We're what makes it possible to serve all of our students, our whole community, from Fort Ross all the way to Santa Rosa. We're also looking forward to seeing the starting process hire for the new Laguna office person. So that we can keep that work in our unit and serving the students here on this campus. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Lily?
Good evening, Lily Smith-Hammer, President of the West Henry County Teachers Association. I wanted to express our appreciation to the trustees and district leadership for their hard work and engagement during the recent contract negotiations. I'd like to especially acknowledge trustees Fernandez and Buckner, who went above and beyond by attending a meeting at the CTA Union Hall. You came to listen, ask questions, and share your thoughts, and that openness and dialogue is deeply appreciated. Our members are currently voting on the tentative agreement. On the budget, at last month's board meeting, we were surprised by the concerning tone of the budget presentation and the subsequent discussion. While we know there's uncertainty across the county, particularly in Santa Rosa, our own district is in a very different position. 4 years ago, we made difficult choices and restructured through consolidation. Santa Rosa hasn't done that. That's the bumpy year that we're going through right now. Since then, our budget has remained healthy. We started this school year with a beginning fund balance of over 30%, which is far above the required 3% minimum. That number reflects not only financial stability, but strength. And while it's good to be in the black, such a high reserve raises an important question. Are we holding on to these funds when we have real immediate needs in our schools? CTA's position is clear. We should be spending today's dollars on today's students. School district budgets are designed to support students learning now, not to accumulate reserves like in private enterprise. Holding high reserves when students need support today does not serve our mission. That's why we are worried about tonight's conversation around raising the legal minimum reserve above 3%. Our most financially difficult year, the one just before consolidation, began with a fund balance of over 7%. Even then, we didn't come close to hitting that 3% floor. The idea that we might suddenly spend our way down to zero is not grounded in historical reality. If we ever do find ourselves that close to a minimum, it will mean that the state has stopped sending us checks, and we'll have bigger issues to contend with than whether or not payroll can be met. This kind of policy change, increasing the legal reserve minimum, binds the hands of the trustees and future leadership. It removes discretion at a time when flexibility is most needed. There may come a moment when this board wants to invest in a special program or opportunity, and if that money is locked away in a required minimum reserve, that option's gone. Now I'd like to, the math department did a very eloquent job of presenting their concerns around class size, and we just skip a bit and just add to that this fall, when the board was presented with the state task scores, I heard our trustees ask why our math scores had dipped compared to the previous year. Larger class sizes will not reverse that trend. They will only deepen it. The research is clear. The biggest outcomes in student performance come from attendance, followed closely by class size ratios. If we want better outcomes, we need the tools to get there. That push starts with restoring those math sections. Thank you for your time, your commitment, and your partnership.
Thank you, Lily. Principal reports. Great, great.
So, as I was writing my report, I was gonna sit in my office and just kind of reflecting, and I was staring at our portrait of graduate poster. And so I did a little experiment and thought, with the things we've done over the last month, want to do a little bit of an audit and see how the things we're doing stack up in this portrait of grad. So I kind of categorize it that way. So first characteristic, curiosity. Ms. Malone was up here talking about the Pioneers Conference. I was lucky enough to take the group down on Saturday. We had a gorgeous day at UC Berkeley. The conference was absolutely amazing. We got there from 9 to 12. It was a lineup of keynote speakers on just different topics from, climate to youth leadership, super engaging. And then from there, broke at lunch and then breakout sessions. The group of students we've had, I've never seen a group of kids so excited to go attend a lecture, to be curious about plant neurobiology or climate change. And one of the sessions was led by called the BEAT Lab, BEET, and they were taking concepts that they had, learned in the previous days of the conference, and they're applying the songs with the DJ. The kids were so just curious and excited to go learn. Just a really cool experience. We also had our SRJC field trip on April 1st. We take this every year. Thank you to Sandy Betchart, Shannon, and Judy Gooden for helping chaperone that trip. Kiddos had a good time and check out the different certificate programs at the JC, Department of Rehabilitation, all the essentials there. And later in April, I will be visiting a school called Gibson Eck up in Issaquah, Washington, to check out their program and their model. So they're a big picture learning school right outside of Seattle. Some of the things I'm really interested to learn, they have some things, I've been doing some research in these like kind of crash labs where they'll like interrupt a little bit of their traditional curriculum. And maybe it's a 4 to 6 week crash course on like artificial intelligence and how to use AI and things like that. Next characteristic, empathy. We had a workshop held by Sonoma County Behavioral Health, and really utilizing expressive arts. So students were able to, through art, share kind of emotions and connections on deeper levels, trying to show empathy and connecting with other students. Next characteristic, resilience. I think we just finished our second day of state testing. So that falls here. I do have to give a shout out to our students. We've had really good attendance the last 2 days for state testing. They have been giving it their best efforts. And so I'm proud of their effort, and I know it's not everybody's favorite. And I do have to share one caveat. A student on independent study came in super excited today to take their state testing. And I've never seen that before, but it was pretty cool. We also had 10,000 Degrees came and did a personal finance workshop called Money Matters. And we held it here in the library, kind of a neat event. Kiddos get different careers and go around, and I threw this under resilience because, some of them got hit with some unexpected things and, had to go borrow some money from the bank. So Balance, Spring Festival coming up. Again, Ms. Malone hit on this, but please come check this out. Our student council has been working very hard to put this on over the last few months. It should be a good event. Under collaboration, tomorrow we have our Academy of Innovative Arts preview night. This is our second. So we're really excited to host this tomorrow. The first one was a big success, so we're hoping for a good turnout and connect with prospective students and families. And then lastly, communication. Huge thank you to Jenny and Denise and the team. I don't know if you heard the chimes going off earlier, but today was the first day we had it with our new Bell/PA system. And I'm super happy because The bells ring on time. We're gonna be able to change them when daylight savings comes. The date's not pre-programmed incorrectly, so our bells will be accurate. So I'm super excited. Everybody can hear the PA system in their classroom, so it's been a nice change. And then lastly, I just have to give a shout out to Jared Brown and Don Drew. Prom is coming up next weekend, and so I have to give a big thank you for Annalee High School administration and specifically those two for including Laguna High School. We know it's a huge undertaking to put that thing on, and you know, I've been calling them, how do I get the tickets? How do I do this? So she's been amazing. Jared's been great, and so huge thank you to the team over there for including us. And I know that hasn't always traditionally been the case. So.
Thank you, Greg. It's great. Wade?
Hi, Chuck Wade, principal, Annalee High School. As Alina mentioned, this week we implemented a revised cell phone policy following some input from our site council and other standing meeting groups, as well as a comprehensive staff survey designed and conducted by Vice Principal Gianna DePersis-Bona. She's been doing terrific work to improve campus culture, and this is just one example. The main change in the new policy has to do with enforcement, really. We're empowering staff to collect phones that are out during class time, in and out of the classroom. And we're providing enhanced support from the office and campus supervisors. From the survey Gianna designed, we learned quite a bit about why the policy has been, up to now, sort of differentially enforced across campus. And we're working to remove barriers that we've identified there, including looking for ways to provide alternative technology to replace curricular uses of phones. In many cases, this is as simple as providing more Chromebook chargers or providing document cameras that can be used to record and upload student work. In some cases, students are having, or teachers are having students use their phones to do this kind of thing. Of course, once they're out, they're getting notifications from Instagram and their mom texted them. So moms, please don't text your kids while they're in school and things like that, right? So they're super distracting, and if we can provide some other ways for teachers to do what they need to do in the classroom, phones won't be necessary. We're looking at how we do that, and I think that'll make a big difference. This is an important, if incremental step, we think, toward making our campus a place where cell phone use is really the exception rather than the rule. I've spoken here before about why we think this is really important for student mental health and well-being. So we're excited to see how it works. Also, this week, as mentioned, we've begun our CASP testing period, which will extend through next week. Vice Principal Sanf has worked hard to create a schedule that works best for staff and students, and that still allows us to have a prom rally on Friday. Small feat. She's been working to ensure the students have the opportunity for refreshers where necessary. So she's been holding some of those sessions. It's really a must since we only test in 11th grade, high school. Some students haven't had pertinent courses for a while. And to make sure students know some of the ways in which performing well on the test can help them personally, not just help the school. So such as through the early assessment program, things like that. Vice Principal Kelson has been working with our Future Center team, including our TOSA Heidi Nicholson, Willie LaCory, our readiness coordinator, to create the Future Ready Night that was mentioned. It's going to be April 29th here in this space. We'll have activities and presentations by our wellness coordinator, work-based learning coordinator, CTE coordinator, college and career readiness coordinator, family engagement liaison, our counselors, and vice principals. This will cover topics like pathways in career preparation, 4-year plan development, how to grow independence and foster social emotional learning skills that lead to balance and agency. There'll be information on financial aid on dual enrollment and post-high school options for students. So we're looking forward to that as one of a series of community outreach events we're thinking about. Speaking of the future, we're working hard on preparing for next year, preparing to build the master schedule, looking closely at course signups with department chairs, building out tentative teaching assignments, and arranging interviews with candidates from a terrifically strong candidate pool, all of which is super exciting. We're also working to reimagine how we support our incoming ninth graders, who, as you know, come from the largest enrollment area and the most feeder schools of any high school in this county. One of the ways we'll do this next year is through a cohort model, beginning with ninth grade English and art collaboration between Ari Stur and Blake Leibovitz. They're calling it Words and Wonders. They'll have 2 sections of students in common and a common planning time to develop targeted curriculum and supports to ensure that those students get the support they need to have the best possible start to high school. We have a ninth grade experience design team developing that will be treating the program as sort of a mini lab kind of house or school within a school to learn what we can better, how we can better support ninth grade transition. And we'll roll out a ninth grade experience based on what we learned for all ninth graders in the following year. We're also introducing Link Crew. This is a model that Gianna and Jolene Johnson went to a professional learning about recently, brought that back to us. It's an orientation program to welcome ninth graders so they get off to a great start at Amalie. And we're recruiting literally about 100 Link Crew leaders from the student body. They'll be trained how to work with incoming ninth grade students, and pairs of them will have sort of a small group of about 10 ninth graders next year that they'll guide and mentor and lead throughout the year starting this fall. So that's a snapshot of the kind of thing we're working on right now.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, Jeff. That's great. Thank you for tackling the cell phone thing. Board reports.
Thing I really have is, I went to the first LCAP meeting. Very interesting, never done that before. So, learning experience for me for sure. But I'm looking forward to the next one, which is coming up very shortly. So that's it.
I don't have a report today.
I do have a report. You heard Greg talk about a trip that Laguna took to the JC. And I wanted to share with you what I garnered from my sister, who was one of the volunteers that went with the students and the staff as a volunteer, kind of so that they had a good number of adults versus students. Her comment was that she was absolutely amazed at how amazing these students were and how awesome every student was and how they treated the adults in their presence. She said the respect and the love that they show for Greg and Shannon is unbelievable. And that she said it was a delightful day and that the students were so friendly and so caring. I thought I needed to share that publicly with all of you because I needed Greg to hear that and I wanted Chris to hear that too, especially, and the board to know that we are helping raise a large group of students who have respect for adults and who do what they're asked to do and show up on time. She was just really, really impressed. So I just thought you needed to know that, Greg. This last Friday, I was honored to attend Leadership 40, which I'm sure you've all heard of, but it's where all the county superintendents have an opportunity to get together. I was asked to present a slide deck about the Sonoma County Committee on School District Organization. As the chair of the committee, my colleagues on my committee asked me to reach out to these superintendents and to share with them who we are as a committee and what we do. The biggest reason was because each district has a voting representative, and those districts include the 40 elementary district, or excuse me, the 40 school districts, plus the JC and SCO. So 42 voter members vote for our committee of 12 people. In the last 18 years, we have had 2 times only where there's been a quorum of 22 votes that have come in to vote for our committee. Every other time, the county superintendent has to appoint a person for our committee. So the feeling from our committee was that people don't know what their job is of voting reps. So we thought the first place to start would be with the superintendents. And when I asked the group how many knew what the Sonoma County Committee on School Organization was, or if they even knew about us, 5 superintendents raised their hands. So it was a good idea that I was there, actually, because I think we gave them some good information. The next thing I'm going to be doing as the chair is in the fall, holding a Zoom meeting with superintendents and their voting reps to share with the voting reps what their job is. Because they get nominated in December, they don't do anything till the following year, and they have no idea, obviously, what they're supposed to be doing. So I was very pleased to be able to do that. I worked with SCO on putting the slide deck together, and it was very rewarding, and I think it was very informational. So thank you.
Thank you, Jeannie. I have no report. Superintendent.
Yeah, thank you. So, first off, I'd like to acknowledge that we're thrilled with the tentative agreement we have in place with WSCTA pending ratification, and I'd like to thank our labor partners, Lily Schmitz-Chammer, Brian Miller, Joel Stickle, and Shannon Birch. This is the second year in a row consecutively that we've reached a TA without an attorney or CTA rep at the table. I'd also like to thank our district team managers, Sophie Stan Blake and Chuck Wade, for their insights and perspective, and the board of trustees for giving us the authorization to work with our unions and come to an agreement. We're looking forward to our next session with CSCA tomorrow to continue our work together towards reaching a tentative agreement. Big thanks to all of Jenny's teams and departments, Jenny Berneman and Denise Fisher, first and foremost, their facility teams, our architects, QKA, for all of their hard work in moving our bond projects forward. We had a really cool groundbreaking ceremony on April 1st for the new CTE building. A beautiful press release was pushed out acknowledging our amazing team and all of their hard work. In addition, on the tech side of Jenny's leadership oversight, I'd like to thank Jenny, Jay Fabian, Matt Yonker, and Brian Lee for putting together a comprehensive technology plan and presenting that plan to Andrew and myself. We'd like to agendize them to present to the board and the public their multi-year technology plan, and I thought that they were very thoughtful and detailed in their approach with the data that they collected, looking at being most fiscally responsive to our needs while sustaining high-end devices for our students and staff. On March 27th, Greg and I were invited to present on the Academy of Innovative Arts at the Forestville Town Hall, facilitated by Linda Hopkins and her District 5 team. We also hosted a table for Q&A afterwards. It was an interesting event to see a politician in action and all the different things that come up for our rural neighbors. We have our next Academy preview night tomorrow evening here at the El Molino campus from 6 to 7:30. I'd like to invite anyone here in attendance to join us. This is bittersweet. Congratulations to Jennifer Guerrero, who's accepted a promotion at SCO in their business department. Jennifer's been an excellent employee for the district, and we obviously wish her the best in her new position. Last, I'll end with some fun Rotary news. I know you all have heard, but I'd like to congratulate formally Sarah Piccolo for being selected as the Rotary Teacher of the Year for 24-25. Sarah's been an amazing addition to our staff, coming right out of the industry and bringing that refreshing industry relevant perspective to her class of students, culinary program at Annalee. We heard from Tom Lowe tonight regarding the Sebastopol Rotary Education Foundation grant awards, and I'd like to thank the Schreck Board for entrusting me to serve as the new project committee chair. We engaged all of our partner districts in the project proposal application process and landed on the approval of some amazing project grants for our district, as you heard about tonight. and several other districts, including a all partner district challenge day that's intended to bring, incoming freshmen, middle school students together. And so we're looking forward to that event, and perhaps we'll host that at one of our sites. But I want to thank Sarah Graham, Ana Guzman, and Jolene Marash for kind of initiating that kind of district partner wide event. And again, thanks to the Schreff board for their diligence there. Finally, on the Rotary front, I'd like to thank the Rotary Club of Sebastopol for inviting me to participate and speak for the third consecutive year during the Overcoming Obstacles event next Friday on April 18th. It's truly an honor to share my story with the students who are selected each year and just engage in a really special day. So that's all I have tonight.
Okay, we're moving on to education services, and in our board packet was a draft safe haven resolution. Hopefully everyone read it. And Anita, do you want to give a little intro? Can you tell us a little bit about how you structured on it, which was really helpful?
Our DEI.
Yes, you can.
You can take it. So, our resolution process, we, did a cooperative, inclusive process as much as we could, inviting parents, students, and staff voices to our committee as we wrote the actual language for the document. We had extensive student feedback with the help of Ashley Vilches, who teaches our Yale students. And they spoke extensively, not only about why they felt this resolution was so important to them feeling safe, but also they had particular language which they had drawn from different resolutions that had already been written across the county. So, and we had picked it out and highlighted. And so we considered all of that in the process as well. We had feedback from Lara Sakra, with the help of Emily Rico Garcia and Lenny Morales from who's a community organizer for and supports immigrant families. And we used a lot of other districts. We ourselves referenced other district resolutions in order to come up with the best and strongest language. Finally, we tried to create this resolution with really inclusive language to also include, make it so that this is a safe haven resolution for all of our students. So I highly would recommend this resolution to the board.
And the final draft, as indicated in the board agenda item, was reviewed and revised by the DEI committee on Monday the 7th. That resolution has since been attached to the item as I indicated in the language. So that would be the resolution that y'all would be considering for approval. And remember, that's a roll call vote. This item also has an opportunity for the board to discuss some additional materials that might support our district's efforts in really demonstrating our support for our students impacted specifically with our new executive orders and immigration enforcement and whatnot. So Louis, you can kind of take this where you'd like it to go next. Ultimately, you will be voting on the resolution, and that would need a motion in a second. So,
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, yeah, real.
I just wanted to ask a question or two, if that's okay. I was just curious about what some of the changes are that are proposed here as opposed to what it was before.
There is some language that is more strongly written. Like a lot of feedback was that our current one was just not action language oriented. So we did that. There's a little section that's added that relates to specifically to help us support our staff not to be incorporated into any ICE, activities on campus and also an educational piece that we're asked to do for all of our staff to help them understand what they need to say and do should they be approached by such folks. And we also added the desire to have this specifically posted all over our website and presented and communicated to staff and students. And there's one more thing, but I'm thinking.
Did we cited more legal precedents?
We really carefully cited all the education code and the 14th Amendment very precisely, so that it just would be as strong as we could make it, given the constraints, the legal obligations that we have to meet as a district. Those I think those are the key differences.
And it's the attachment that is in all caps with the resolution number, so.
I would also say that a lot of folks were giving us feedback about the actual term safe haven. And the reality is that every group of parents and students and folks that we talked to and said that please use that language. So we decided, since we're representing a bunch of these folks in this way, we thought we use the language that they chose.
Lou, I just wanted to say thank you to the DEI committee for working on this and coming up with this. I know it's what we asked you guys to do, and I appreciate that effort to do that. The other thing that I wanted to say is thanks to Chris for putting everything that you put in here for us to review. I mean, there are 10 documents plus policy plus regulation that was shared with us in our board packet. I think that's really helpful because it showed the old version and the new version, gave examples of what the Santa Rosa City Schools has done, examples of the JC, examples of Petaluma's. There's an ICE flow chart. I mean, there was a lot of information. So thank you, Chris, for doing that. And I just think that I like what you said, that you responded to what people were asking. And that's why you chose some of the language, and I appreciate that. And I also appreciate the fact that you did include the very specific information with regards to the 14th Amendment and to the Ed Code, because that makes it very clear where we stand. Thank you.
Other questions or comments? Yes, please, Elena.
I just want to say, I think it'd be great if we adopted this. I mean, school is the first word I think a school should be described as safe, and the safe haven is, even if you don't know what that means, just an outside perspective, like, wow, it's like, what a great thing to like call school, but then knowing the importance behind it and the intention and care that went behind it when trying to accept all students, no matter like where they're from, is really important. And I think, especially considering the amount of Latinx students that became more prominent in the consolidation to UNLA, it's good that I think it'd be really good if we adopted this. I think it would just maybe like just help out a little bit. I don't know.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Linda?
Pull it closer, Linda. Yeah.
You don't get it. I want to thank you for your work on this. I'm so happy you put in the Ed Code and all the pertinent things that we can stand on. Because without those, it's not worth the paper it's written on. I mean, but now we have something that's really strong. And I agree with Alina completely. When we send our kids to school, we want them to come back from school and not end up somewhere So having it a safe haven, they have to know, all our families have to know it's safe for them to go to school and continue to go to school, and that we will do everything we can to protect them. So thank you, all of you.
No, anything?
Questions?
Yeah, being part of the committee, I've been really, focused on this process. I think it's really important. I did raise the issue just about whether we should use the word safe haven, whether it would put a target on our back. But members of our community most likely affected by this said, no, we want that language. And so for me, that's like, absolutely, that's what we should do. And we're in this together. We could have some tough times ahead, but I think it's important that we make a strong stand and we be articulate about it, and that we protect folks, and when they send their kids to our school, that they are as safe as we can possibly make them. This goes in line with that. So if there are any other further questions, are people ready to actually adopt this, vote for this? Is there any reservations or anything we should discuss?
I would like to move that we approve this decision, approve this resolution, number 22, April 2024, 2025. And yeah, we'll move forward with this. Thank you.
We have a second.
I'll second.
Linda, second. Okay, so roll call vote. Rita.
Aye.
Linda.
Aye.
Don. Aye. Jeannie.
Aye.
Louis. Aye.
Wow, awesome. Thank you. Now you have an opportunity to discuss,
Yeah.
as you suggested, the safe haven manual.
So there's an attachment here. It's called the Santa Rosa Community School Manual. I don't know if you had a chance to look at it. It's 30 or 50 pages. In my mind, it's an extraordinary document with a lot of research, and it's relatively easy to read. It's very clear, and it's like it's a handbook on how we can do a better job of implementing this kind of policy and also information for our communities. So I would love to see us basically borrow most of that language and edit it to fit our district, and to have something similar that we could publish. So it's just a discussion item, but if the board agrees with my basically proposal like this, then we could ask staff to do an edit or throw it into ChatGPT or whatever, and make it into something that we can really individualize for our district and have a really good document that's available to folks.
I think it's a great idea. I was gonna say we should consider doing this, partly because then I think it also gives everybody that's involved, teachers, parents, students, staff, the board, everybody has at their fingertips answers to questions. So I think it's a really good.
Okay, thank you.
I would agree. I think it's a great idea, and I think a lot of times people tend to agree with something in principle, but they have no idea about the nuts and bolts of what needs to be done. So something that's a little more practical than resolution, I think is a good idea.
Great, thank you. Rhea?
Yeah, I mean, I agree too. I think it's a good idea. I mean, I think in a manual, as you said, is kind of long and hard to digest sometimes, or even see and find what you're trying to find. So I don't know if there's a better way to break it down so that what you are trying to find, you can find. I mean, I think we've seen some things from the district office, like the ICE flow chart, I think, and things like that are helpful. So I think it's good to have it all in one place, but also in a way that can be easily cataloged and found.
Like in a way that you can search it more easily, or?
Yeah, or broken up into each of these parts so that you can go to the part that you need, right? If it's for teachers, for students, for parents,
maybe more concise.
And it's 22 pages. It's 22 pages, which is a lot of pages, and maybe it can be more concise. I do like your idea of and I didn't go all the way through it, so I don't know if San Jose City Schools put in the flow chart from ICE, but I think it's probably a really good idea to put that in there. Because people then have a good idea of how that all works. Talks about jurisdiction, it talks about what they can and can't do. It's just a quick little flow chart.
So question for staff, if the board would like to see something like this done, how can we do it without bearing you guys with it in one more giant task? Do you need some help? You have a couple of people you can delegate to?
And my thought is that our DEI committee is the perfect place to begin with this.
Yeah.
And I think we've got a pretty good draft. I know that we have, some future agenda items that we were gonna get to in the next DEI meeting, but I think with the support of the district office staff and the folks on the committee, we could look at putting a draft together, bringing it back to the board before the end of June.
We also had a raised hand.
It's Julie. You're asking about how to search a document. You can make it electronic so that you can do Control F and search it. You can make it available on the, not a PDF, because you can't do that with PDF, but if you make it searchable and people are looking for something specific, then they can look for it. The kids all know how to do that.
Yeah.
Except for their textbook, electronic textbook, sorry, doing all secrets way. But yeah, right? So yeah, that's a way that people can do it quicker.
Perfect, thanks.
Good.
Good idea.
So are you suggesting that the DEI committee take up the task of looking at making a first draft of this or disseminate?
Yeah, and we'll support, with the site administrators and see Greg make a comment.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think just going through this, I think we have a lot of this in place already. So we just approved the resolution, which is a good portion. We have our processes for what to do with the, visitors on campus. We have our flow chart. So I think we have quite a bit of this in place already.
Just needs to all be put together in one spot.
It's all more work. But
Anita, how do you feel about?
I guess I would just worry about doing it by June,
That's what I was gonna say.
but I'm totally happy to.
I was gonna say, let's not push ourselves. I don't think it has to be done by June, and so let's, August, September, yeah.
Target August for a draft.
Well, we really want, with the committee, what we were doing is youth truth data dive, and then we're coming up with some goals for the 25-20, the next school year. And I really feel like that's important to have those as we start the year. So could we say September?
Yeah,
I think that'd be horrible.
Yeah.
Because then they could make this one of their goals, that they're gonna work on this manual.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay,
Sounds good.
good. Everybody good? Okay, great. Thank you. This is fabulous. Really appreciate this.
Yeah.
Okay, Prop 28 update. There's been,
Oh, wait, you got,
did I miss something?
yes. Presentation for the innovative arts.
Oh, I'm sorry. Of all things. Do I think on the first year?
Sure.
Okay, Mia, do you want to make your comment?
Good evening, Mia Dalcuddy, community member. Although I appreciate the academy update, I find it to be a pretty graphic presentation with little substance. A lot of what is in the presentation is information that was presented at the January board meeting. The enrollment update is helpful, but how many students are coming from each of the districts? This is critical information. If the students are coming from our partner districts, this does not generate any new revenue to the district. These students would have already been factored into the projected enrollment for the 25-26 school year. Perhaps the students coming from Sebastopol Charter, California Pacific Charter, and Village Charter may already live in our district. How many students are coming from Petaluma? I'm not asking for student addresses, but I do want to know how many students live outside the district boundaries that can actually generate new dollars to the district. I'm pleased to see the district has included an estimate for the increase of utilities, But I'm disappointed that the draft multi-year projection was not updated and included in the presentation. The new expenditures included 2 full-time teachers. That was already presented in the first budget. And also a full-time grounds custodian. This is not new, but the expenses are a little bit less than originally projected. Supplies and services is budgeted at a little over $48,000. But what does this include? I'm frustrated with the lack of information. I've been asking for a timeline since January, but once again, there's no timeline, nor is there a mention of any of the items on the timeline Lewis emailed me, which has never been included in any of the board agenda items. I, along with many community members, are deeply concerned with the lack of transparency and the long-term planning for the district.
Thank you, Mia.
So this is a presentation, and I've got Greg Alexander, principal, Cole Smith, founding teacher for the academy, and Dale Doherty. The intent of this presentation was to provide an update on the academy as a program and our progress towards meeting our milestones in terms of opening the school in the fall to our inaugural cohort of students. I'll be able to add some information to a few slides, as will Andrew, when we get to the budget slides, so you can further understand our planning processes. So without further ado, I will let Greg Alexander kick us off. And we have, again, Cole and Dale to join in on the presentation.
Yeah, thank you. So, yeah, you can go to the next one. Yeah, so just as we had our first preview night, and some of the things that, you know, we're sharing in the preview night, and as our enrollments are coming in, I'm having these one-on-one enrollment meetings with our families. And really, what we're trying to do with the academy is create, you know, really innovative, hands-on, project-based experience for students that's small, flexible environment where they can drive their own learning with their own interests, you know, in that interdisciplinary model where through their interests, we're able to weave in the different core subject matters. And Cole will talk about that a little bit in a minute. But you know, with the opening cohort, we're looking at, you know, 30 students, really kind of a 15-to-1 model. And so hoping to be really flexible and adaptive to student needs, in that, especially in that first year. So staff-wise, as you guys probably know, the plan is to share the office staff. And so myself, Shannon Lowry, our amazing counselor, Chris Van Stone, our amazing outreach therapist, Don Drew, our admin assistant. But then I will introduce to you our founding teacher, Cole Smith.
Thanks, Eric. Thank you. Let's go to slide. So I think that's up there to prove that that you can trust me with this new project. This is a couple of the projects I've been doing. I've been teaching for 20 years and have been doing a lot of really cool stuff in Cottonwood Park at Rancho Cotton High. A lot of building. So we've built tiny houses. We've put cameras up in the near space, 1,000 feet up. Hydroponics gardens, shipping containers, all kinds of big projects. And we did all of this from the ground up. The shop had been closed for 6 or 7 years before we came in and built something new. I was also one of the founding teachers at Tech High, so built Tech High from the ground up. So I guess this slide is here just a little confidence in me that it's in good hands. And we'll be able to build this project from the ground up. And we've done it before, we've been pretty successful. So that's just a little bit about me. This is an interesting slide.
Next slide.
Next slide. This is a really good starting point that we use, that I've used with students in the past, and we were bringing it to our students on our first preview night. It's an ancient meditation symbol. It's called the Unalome. And it's all about finding your place on your journey. And with the new school starting, I think it's a great way to get our students thinking about where they're headed. So the idea is it's your lifeline. So you stare at it, figure out where you are, figure out if you're at those first little dots at the bottom, or you have the first curve, or the second curve, or maybe you're getting a little closer to the end of things and you're all the way up at the top, hopefully where there's beautiful lotus blossom enlightenment happening. But this is a great symbol for the makerspace. It works great on lasers, vinyl cutters and all that, but it's also good to get students, and I guess us, thinking about where we're headed, because we're on this journey together. And just like the UNILOM is like life with all the ups and downs, I know there will be challenges starting a new program. But I just thank you all for taking this journey with us and having faith in me to be a part of it. So I guess that's a little bit of the philosophy. Here's the nuts and bolts stuff. This is an example engineering notebook that we've put together. So one of the big goals of the Academy of Innovative Arts is to integrate all the curriculum. I myself teach innovative arts, also English, also PE. And I think that speaks really well to how we'll be able to bring in all these different subjects and put them together. This notebook is an example of engineering, example of art, example of English, and examples like this, engineering notebooks like this, and portfolio work like this will be the cornerstone of the Academy of Innovative Arts. So there's still a lot of work to be done, but we're making really good progress. Here's some updated shots of the shop. So we got a lot of digital fabrication equipment in there, and I invite y'all to come up to the preview night tomorrow and take a look at it. You'll see 3D printers, laser cutters, vinyl cutters, also a lot of good wood shop equipment. So if you can make it, we will be doing it. So all kinds of different we get. Okay, hand it over to Dale.
You know, we are making progress on the makerspace, and you know, I just want to mention that Jenny and Denise and I went through the O'Reilly building the other day. Sadly it's closing, and they have a lot of furniture, a lot of computer stuff, standing desks, you know, various things. I have my eye on things for the Academy of Innovative Arts, but Denise and Jenny were looking at things for AMD teachers and others that they might appreciate as well. So we're going to try to fill up a moving van on Friday, I think, and see what we can get there. You know, I just would ask the board, you know, I think our real urgency is just getting the word out to people still. You know, we don't have an advertising campaign. We are doing these preview nights. We have a sign up here. But if you know people that have 8th grade students that might consider this, especially in the homeschooling community or other areas where they might not consider Annalee, might be even the distance going to Annalee might have been a problem, or people outside the district as well. But I'm happy to talk to anyone. I know Greg is and has been talking to people, but the kind of word of mouth, we just have to really get it out to people. It's a great opportunity. You know, I hear what Mia's asking for, and she's not wrong in certain things, but by almost this nature, this is a school that is going to be built by the teachers and students that show up inside of it, and that's not a bad thing. They will feel a lot more of a part of this school. And I guess the last thing, I just want to mention one of the things, you know, if we probably built this 10 years ago, we would have called it Tech High, you know, because that's what we call those kind of schools. And I think what we're seeing with artificial intelligence and other things, it's really this creative side that, you know, what do you do with this technology? What do you design, make, or create? And I think that is a real difference here in how we design and make and build this school. So thank you very much for this opportunity. Very committed to seeing it happen, and we are looking forward to August. I just want to thank, so Tom gave us a check. I'm planning to run a free summer camp, like a maker camp, the week before we open the school. give us a little bit of training in the space. But inviting middle school kids from the areas, I want them to, I mean, part of my mission in starting this makerspace here is to offer it to Laguna students, offer it to the community, find ways to make it useful. Because I think all of, you know, whether they go to this Academy of Innovative Arts or they come into a summer camp or they come in after school program, these are things that we can do to improve their lives and give them a better shot at a better life. Thank you.
So, you know, Greg can go through just a high level take on the student schedule. You've seen this slide and a few others, but again, we thought it was really important that you hear from the other folks that have been doing students' work. So, Greg, dive into that schedule and then continue talking about your school.
Yeah, so the plan is to start, really the schedule is, it's an alternating schedule, A day, B day, so 1, 3, 5, 2, 4, 6. And we're gonna start each day with a half-hour advisory block, and that can be, you know, anything from student announcements to culture building to bringing in guest speakers. So really flexible space that first half hour. The initial plan right now is to have that innovative arts block first and second period, so students would have that innovative arts block every day. Then we move to brunch, then we move to third and fourth period, so again, A day, B day could be English Monday, Science Tuesday, to lunch, and then we hit fifth and sixth period, could be PE and math, and again, this is just a sample, these things may shift a little bit. And then at the end of the day, we have the 45-minute tutorial block. You know, and this is really gonna potentially have a lot of different options and flexibility as the students get older and move throughout the academy. And so one of the things that, you know, is we're looking at different options for how do we offer different types of courses. So this could be an opportunity where students are working on an Edgenuity class on an online platform, which is something that we don't offer, you know, your core in person here, where they're still able to get that support. And then, you know, freshman year for the first cohort, obviously, you know, you can have your standard tutorial where you're getting a jump start on homework, but it's also a time for additional help or if there's any type of one-on-one supports or anything that needs to be done. That's a flexible time for us to utilize in our schedule.
My computer just like froze up on me, of course. Why aren't you?
One of the things that I'm really proud of at Laguna High School, and actually really proud just to be part of this district, is all the wraparound supports and TSS supports that are offered at both sites, which I think is really unique, especially for, you know, if you look at total numbers right now, we're, you know, Laguna's at 70, Brigham at 30 with the academy for 100 kids on our campus. But we're gonna be able to offer a full-time academic counselor, a full-time outreach counselor. We contract with West County Health, which provides us 2 additional outreach therapists, a fully licensed physician on campus 1 day a week, substance use and mental health liaisons. So somebody's here every day of the week. We have Sonoma County Behavioral Health who's on our campus for different crises 1 day a week. 10,000 degrees, keeping kids in school. And so we have a lot of supports in place, wraparound services, and I think that's really a bonus when you talk about, you know, small school, low number of students. I don't know that those supports are always in place there, so I think that's a huge plus for us. And just a snapshot of the West County Health team. If you want to go on to the next one. Yeah, and so one of the things that we're also excited about is the plan. I know it's in the works with the multi-school agreement with the NCS, but the ability that the kids here to be able to play on the athletic teams at Ingham. I think that's a huge bonus and a huge draw. And if we weren't able to offer that, you know, I think that'd be a deterrent. So I think that's a really awesome opportunity. You know, and also as Cole mentioned, like, or as Cole and Dale mentioned, like starting this from the ground up was really cool. Is the kids on campus are gonna have the ability to create their own clubs, their own activities, their own things that really make your one of the school their own. And so we're excited to help support that process and have them be creative and really take ownership and drive the school. And you've seen this, I think this was, maybe January, but the process for WASC accreditation and A through G alignment. And so over the summer, we'll start working on our WASC self-study report and ironing that out. We will submit our application for initial accreditation on the first day of school, 13th, I believe. Once we submit the application, we'll have our initial WASC visit in November or December. And then our committee report will be able to go to that January WASC commission meeting. Once that gets approved, we're then eligible to apply, take our courses, and go through the A through G process to get those A through G approved. And so that's kind of the accreditation A through G process there.
I'll add a few things.
Okay, yeah, so as we mentioned, we've got 24 applicants so far. You know, some of the schools these kiddos are coming from, Twin Hills, Hillcrest, Forestville, Monterey, Montgomery, Salmon Creek, Sonoma Earth School, Summerfield, Waldorf, Sebastopol Charter, California Pacific Charter, Village Charter, Williside, Petaluma Junior High School. So we've had 24 applicants. We are actively meeting with all these families. So we had a number attend the first preview night. We have a number who said they're coming to the second, but we're also having those one-on-one enrollment meetings as well. So every family who's applied has been contacted, and we've been in contact. If we haven't scheduled a meeting, we're actively trying to. And so those meetings have been really cool because we get to, you know, really get to dive in and meet them and, you know, give a tour and talk about the school and what things are going to look like and expectations, and get to know the kids a little bit and find out what they're interested in. I was given a tour the other day, and the students telling me how he's like just super interested in guitar. And it was like perfect. We walked down in the makerspace and in there, and Marty's working and creating I don't know what you call it, but it holds the guitar strings so they don't drum and vibrate as much. And it was just perfect. And so you guys would sit there and play with the guitar, and it's 5 minutes after he's telling me he likes to play guitar. So anyway, that's kind of my piece on the enrollment. We're actively engaging our families who have applied, and you know, getting to know them and starting to build those relationships.
Yeah, and what I'll add in terms of some specifics is obviously you've got 24 students from 11 different school districts, and then a handful that were homeschooled, so really no district, if you will. So 13 different current placements. So when you break that math down, that's a handful at you know, each different spot. Only 2 are inter-district. But what I think is important to note, you know, based on some of the concerns we've heard about generating enrollment, is that we go back to our 4-year deep dive and analysis on our enrollment trends and where our in-district students, 101 over 4 years for over 1.3 million in ADA, where they've chosen to attend. Those specific students, we're never going to see themselves fitting in or finding their place at Annalee or El Molino. And I was really proud as we've learned more about these families, their interests, other schools that they were considering applying to, that it demonstrates the evidence of that data and those studies, that this isn't just about generating new enrollments. This is about sustaining current resident students so they don't leave our district for smaller specialized programs. I think that as the school continues to grow, we're going to see more inter-district transfers and students that are interested in attending the academy. I think the other thing that we really need to acknowledge is the number of inter-district transfers that we're currently and have historically received from neighboring districts. And, you know, there's only so much space at Annalee High School, and we don't want to lose our resident students. We want all students to truly find a place that they can feel comfortable, that meets their post-secondary goals and what they're looking for in a high school experience. And we were very pleased that so quickly we got to 24 of our 30 targeted students. So the application window, the first round closes on April 11th. At that time, we will consider going and opening up another window and look at those inter-district transfers. We were prioritizing seats for in-district students. And I want to remind our board and our community that, you know, many of our partner districts out here in the far west are small communities. Students that are used to being in a fairly small cohort. Some of our schools range from 12 students to 60 students to a little bit larger. So I think that we're going to continuously see a draw for some of those partner districts, 8th graders that want to continue their experience in a more intimate, specialized environment. So I'm definitely pleased with the data that we've received so far and our progress. And again, thought it was really important for the board and the community to hear more from our design team members who are boots on the ground. We have standing meetings every other Friday, revisiting our timelines and the things that we need to do to successfully open the school. That's all I've got, unless you have anything to add on enrollment.
Chris?
Yeah.
I have a comment I'd like to make about this slide on enrollment. I know for a fact that one of the young men that is actually signed up, registered, was reluctantly going to go to Anley. But the family was also looking at going to Windsor, going to private school, homeschool, because of the small environment. So they're very excited when this opportunity came up. This young man actually attends Willowside, but he actually attends Willowside as an inter-district transfer from the Pioneer Olivet School District, which would be then Santa Rosa School District as a freshman. So, and that's not even on here. So we actually are getting someone from the Santa Rosa City School District that is going to attend this school as well. So it is a draw for many young people. He just does not see himself going to college, and he has the ideas of grandeur of you know, doing something with his hands. And so that's why this was so enlightening to him.
I have a question, Chris. So 94 at April, it's like, is that where like you expect it to be? It's like, I'm curious if students feel like they already know where they're going by like this point, or is it still that time where they're trying to decide and see about all their options?
That's a really good question. We launched the application right at the right time when our resident students were looking at determining where they're going to go. I think the fact that we achieved 24 in a pretty quick amount of time with everything that's looming in Santa Rosa City Schools, I think we've captured the in-district students who may have left our district that are now really interested in staying and experiencing this type of learning environment. So with essentially 6 seats to fill, I'm feeling pretty confident that we're going to reach our target goal of 30. And I think as the program, we've been committed, and we talk about it every time we meet, it has to be an amazing first year, an amazing freshman experience. And we've got some different strategies in terms of increasing the district's brand and increasing revenues. And I think that word of mouth will definitely spread. And I think the foundation for building out the next 3 years until it's 9 through 12 starts with having a great, amazing first year. And I can't say enough about how we feel about Cole Smith as our founding teacher. Cole demonstrates the type of educator that we said we would hire all along. Very dynamic, understands project-based, has a CTE credential, has a single subject core credential, has a secondary authorization, and is currently working on his PE credential. So we've got another candidate in the queue that we're feeling pretty good about, and we're trying to close that deal and have our second founding teacher. But I think that we've exceeded my expectations, at least in terms of the time frame. So confident that we're going to hit 30, and we may have more that are interested than we can serve in that first year. Next slide, please. This was a huge milestone. Obviously, you got to get a CDS code to create a new school, and so the CDE puts us through a bunch of rigmarole after we apply. And I mentioned this last month, but thanks to my team, we were granted our CDS code, and Greg spoke clearly to the next steps in terms of accreditation and A through G approval, and then further down in Ed Services, you'll be approving the first round of course requests that will ultimately end up being A through G approved. They just have a funny timeline there. So next slide, please. I think one thing to note here on the budget is that, you know, we showed you a standalone budget based on our anticipated expenditures. I think we were really clear in the district's effort to maintain our Laguna program and really analyze the costs of the operational staff versus the revenue that we could generate through ADA, and that was at risk with our fiscal climate and the current state of our budget. So we're feeling really good about how the academy fits into our district-wide budget. And, you know, we don't have a separate budget for Laguna or a separate budget for Annalee. It's all built into the district budget, and Andrew updates and reflects that budget accordingly at each budget cycle. So we thought it was important to highlight where we were fiscally and part of the rationale as to why we thought this program would help sustain current program and generate new revenues through new enrollments and not lose resident students. But Andrew, I'll let him kind of speak to more of the detail, some highlights that went into the second interim budget. And then obviously we will be evaluating and analyzing any other expenditures that are identified prior to the final adopted budget coming to the board and after the May revise. So
I think you said a key is that the new staffing was built into the second interim budget along with the anticipation that 30 students will be enrolled in that ADA. So that has been all built into the second interim budget. So all these costs that you see here are already there existing within what we've seen in second interim. We'll get to some more actuals and concrete as we know. We get the staffing, where are they placed, and build that into the actual budget to what their actual costs are.
that brings us to the end of the presentation. Any questions?
I do. So having been taught in the middle school, I was out there and I was mentioning this program to a bunch of the teachers, standing in the back office. And they were saying, oh my gosh, well, we could name all these kids that could do it, because when you teach those kids, there's always those that are more interested in working with their hands than hitting the AP classes. I mean, this is really what this is for. It's to really give them another place to go. And I think that I totally hear what Mia's saying about not robbing Peter to pay Paul. I get that. But again, I hear what you're saying, that those students that we've lost to Tech High and other programs that are not what we have available at this time, that we want to keep those. But I think for me, it's like, I think maybe we need to do around at 8th grade levels at the middle schools that are even in our district. And so that the kids can see what we're doing, not just the parents. And I mean, because I think it's really being emphasized for the kids that would be interested in this program. I mean, for me, I can talk myself blue to the teachers, but it's the kids you have to get interested in it. And there's still plenty of time for those students to change their mind and their program. I agree.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I was sitting here thinking about that. That if there's, I mean, we haven't done a lot of advertising. I totally agree with that. We need to get it out there so that more people know and make the kids really interested in it. And that's what we really want, are that group of kids that are super interested in doing something like this.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, and I think we can continue those efforts. I think that the enrollments that we generated were attributed to, our outreach and collaboration with the school superintendents first and foremost, who were able to then push out, all of our information to their counselors and their 8th grade teachers, but I don't think the effort, we don't intend for that to stop, so.
Yeah.
Definitely circle back with our team and work with Greg and can do some further outreach to the partner districts and see if we can't get more in front of those students. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing that up, Linda. I think it's a really great idea and putting together, you know, if we can get Cole to help with that and as the teacher be there to, you know, encourage these kids and make sure that a little flyer or handout goes home with them so that their parents can see, oh, look at, there's an alternative, you know, yada, yada. And I think that's probably a really good idea.
Yeah, and we're looking at, you know, all possibilities and efforts. Dale suggested that I attend the Discovery Day at the fairgrounds several weeks back, and you know, Dale with his business created a really nice infographic that we've been pushing out, and I think it's been just an all hands on deck without you know, specific dollars allocated to, you know, marketing for the district. We'll speak to a little bit later. We've been doing the best we can. I know Cole's been putting flyers up around the deep West County, but all suggestions are well received, and you know, we're not going to stop until that school's at capacity.
Okay, we're moving on. It's 7:45, so we have a lot of ground to cover, so we'll keep moving. Prop 28 update. Prop 28 has been something that I don't fully understand. I don't think anyone on the board that maybe Judy fully understands. So we're gonna have a short presentation about how it really works.
Yeah, and I'm gonna lean on Andrew a little bit. What you have attached to this item is a revised Prop 28 plan. Not much has changed from what we presented last year. It shows the expenditures, it shows the breakdown of the sections that were funded. The kind of general nuances is that 80% of the funds must be spent on staffing and expanded staffing. And you can expand in a variety of different ways. We are committed to continuing to allocate the Prop 28 funds to all of the sections that we funded this year, minus the PR section, which was that 0.2 TOSA section. And there's some opportunities to look at where we appropriately allocate that 0.2 FTE. As I believe it was Alina mentioned, you know, some of the funds, the 20% that's not 80, that's targeted for certificated or classified employees, can be spent on facilities upgrades. And so we've done some really great work in the theater. We have a theater manager that we pay on a supplemental timesheet, and so the Prop 28 funds can definitely fund that. And that allows that person to help, you know, manage the stage and the complexities of the studio theater. When you're looking at expansion, that can be bringing something back that might have been eliminated in a prior year. That can be creating something new, a new section of a previously allocated section. So last year the year prior, we had one section of intro to dance. We had 2 intro to dance this year, and that was one of the 5 sections that was allocated, Prop 28 in 5 sections of dance. So there's a lot of information here. I could go through the Q&A, the FAQ. I think that's where some of the specific requirements and allowable expenditure information. Want to make sure that I acknowledge that I know that the board has probably done their due diligence. Don't want to regurgitate some of that information, but it's all there. You've got the background information, links directly to the CDE. You know, Andrew and I revised this Prop 28 budget several times throughout the year. And in creating the preliminary budget for this year, we obviously collaborated with the Fine Arts Department and specifically Jolie and Casey, and their thoughts were super important in working with the site administration to look at which sections were allocated with the use of Prop 28 funds. Really wanted to put this information before you and then give you an opportunity to ask any clarifying questions. Andrew, do you have anything you'd like to add in terms of the kind of function of Prop 28 and how it relates to the budget?
No, when we really look at the budget, the funds are granted in 1 year, and you have 3 years to spend them. So the first year that we receive them, 23, 24, we have at the end of this year, we will have spent that first grant award. So we are really focusing on how can we get that money into the current students that we do serve. And just really looking at anything above and beyond that was not available to be funded through current funding to what can we really do, the band uniforms, paying for the set structure this year from Prop 28. That normally would not be able to be funded through district funding. So and repairs to instruments that normally would have to be fundraised to be taken care of. Those are the things that we have done to support the program currently above and beyond what the district was already funding.
And we wanted to make sure that, the board and the community were aware that, we understand these funds and how to appropriately allocate these resources. And obviously, one of the things we demonstrate is our creative approach to best utilizing funding appropriately. We're committed to continuing to do that as we revise for the 25-26 year.
Question.
Yeah, please.
So you mentioned as an example, a stage manager as a position that we could fund with Prop 28 money on separate time sheet.
Yeah.
So if that stage manager works for more than 1 year, in the second year, can they still be funded, or is it that, would that be like having a section of art that you couldn't repeat with Prop 28 money?
The idea is expand and sustain. So once you expand or identify new, whether it be a new section, an additional section, a newly reimagined section, then you can sustain it. It doesn't have to be new every year.
You could sustain it with Prop 28 money?
Correct, because the yearly allocation, as Andrew indicated, is about 238,000, and you get 3 years to spend each year's allocation. So it allows you to budget appropriately, align it with your budget cycle.
3 years.
You get a new application each year, but you have 3 years to spend.
So if
each
we
year's
started
allocation.
some art classes with Prop 28 money, sections, then we could continue to fund them with Prop 28 money.
Correct.
For ongoing.
Yeah, unless the legislation changes their mind and Prop 28 funds go away, but it's.
And it's infinite timeline. They never, there's not a sunset date for it.
Yeah. So the idea is expand and sustain. And you can only expand so much with $238,000 each year. So the idea is be diligent and intentional with the expansion, and then use each year's allocation to plan for the next 3 years, since you have 3 years to spend each year's allocation to sustain what you build. And when you do have reductions or enrollment trends that change the need on the master schedule, then we get creative with how we can further expand or change the program to meet the needs of the students. We have to hold ourselves accountable to the auditors and make sure that the expenditures are appropriate, and obviously we're going to do that.
So to piggyback on Melissa's question, if you, like the stage manager, for example, we have 3 years to fund that position. Can it be continued with a following year's Prop 28 funds?
You have 3 years, yes, and you have 3 years to spend the allocation. It doesn't necessarily call out how long you can fund any one position. So if you've identified something that is an expansion, then you're sustaining. And the whole idea of you have 3 years to spend the 1 year allocation is to allow the CBOs to best plan that into their budgets. Okay. You have anything to add to that, Andrew?
No, I think that's correct. It's just maintaining, so all the new things that we've done, we maintain it with each year's allocation, or any adjustments to the plan that would call it something new that would change that plan.
Okay. So we're thankful to the legislator for allocating these funds ongoing, and it's our job to do our due diligence, make sure they're spent appropriately, and collaborate with our folks.
Yeah, it's the voter approved measure. So that's the general 1% of the general fund, the state has to now set aside
Yeah.
for this measure. And so that does fluctuate each year.
I'm sorry, this may sound like I'm trying to make it take, but I'm just kind of curious, like, how did like sustaining not transfer into like intro or instrumental music or?
Well, we did fund the extra intro class this past year, yeah.
Yeah.
The other sections weren't new. But let's say if we created a Dance 3 honors course, then that would be new. That is something that we could consider, and we could reallocate the section that was previously funding the PR section. We only have one section of that kind of 80% of the allocation to work with for next year. So it could be instrumental music, it could be something that's reimagined, because that was previously recommended to be reduced by the board, which that would be final in May. So we have some opportunity to really look at the master schedule, look at the student enrollment interests. And we're really only working with one section of available funds. Not much else has changed from the way we use the funds current year. Does that make sense? One section. Where did we put those monies? Depends on what students need and how creative we can get.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you. First reading of proposed new textbook and workbook for English language development.
Yeah, we'll buzz through this. I just want to thank Ashley Vilchis and the World Language Department for proposing this. She was very diligent in her proposal. She gave me, I think, 5 different quotes. We felt like this was the one that was most, I would say would get the most bang for our buck. And this is obviously for some new curriculum for our ELD program, and it's not an action item because it's a first reading. Any questions?
Okay. Consideration of approval of a new course request for the Academy of Innovative Arts.
Yeah, first and foremost, I'd like to thank, Greg Alexander and Cole Smith for their collaboration in putting these together. The 3 of us worked on them. Got to give them the majority of the credit. I think it was really important to have the founding teacher behind the development of the framework. Again, these documents, require some general descriptions, some general data and information, and then a framework of the curriculum. And obviously, the curriculum will follow the California adopted state standards for each different specific subject area. And then I think the value of the program is that we're going to be able to integrate, and students are going to find common ground between the standards and all the core subjects, as well as their innovative arts electives. So if you have any specific questions, otherwise I recommend that you approve this round of course requests for the academy.
We should have done a motion.
We should get a motion,
sorry.
I move that we approve the new course request for the Academy of Innovative Arts. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Okay, discussion regarding board policy 3100 and district minimum 3% reserve. And we had some attachments from Andrew's.
Yeah, Andrew will take
Board
it.
Policy.
So Andrew, talk to us about.
So as we look at the standard board policy that comes, that has been adopted, and we're looking at other districts within Sonoma County, that policy 3100 kind of has that generic language saying that the district will maintain their economic reserve balance for what's prescribed. And that's the 3% for us with our ADA that we currently have, ADA enrollment. Again, in really looking at the other policies that are out there, the majority of the districts have that standard boilerplated kind of language, meet the law, the 3% basically. The only one that I found within Sonoma County that really has a board policy that calls out a higher reserve is Cloverdale at 10%. And so as we look at the funding, we look at the 3% reserve, that second interim was, $1.08 million. And the standard kind of, as you look at your reserve, what do you always want to kind of maintain? What, if you can't make payroll,
if you run out of cash, you know, that's where the state is going to come in. And do what they do it when that happens. Our standard month of payroll currently right now is $2.3 million. So looking at that, yes, we do have a current fund balance right now, but if we continue to eat at that fund balance, then we're gonna get closer and closer to the 3% or below and not being able to meet. So we do have the fund balance currently enough money in the fund balance to up to 3% and higher. But each year, as expenditures continue to increase, as we currently see them, and revenue also you know, not coming in as high as revenue or expenditures are increasing, we're gonna continue to have a deficit, a structural deficit. And you know, that's not a good thing to continue to have. You'll continue to eat away at your fund balance. So we provided some scenarios in the board item, looking at what a 6% reserve on the current year second interim is. It'd be about almost $2.2 million. Getting closer to being able to ensure that we have enough cash on hand to meet that, to actually have the fund balance on hand. To meet that, looking at a 7%, taking it about 2.5. You know, if we went to a full 10%, it's about 3.6 based off of the second interim at this point. And then, you know, we have 13% at, you know, 6 or 4.7 outlined there. I think there's a different approaches of the way that we could look at this and either setting it as a annual board resolution as to this is going to be the reserve amount that we set aside each year. I think you know, if you set it rigid in policy, you know, you're going to have to always make that standard, but policy is also available for revision. The same, you know, the resolution or a stabilization agreement, there's something out there, stabilization agreement that several districts have. And they have to adjust that stabilization agreement each time that they're meeting their they do their interim reports. So we want to be the most responsible, effective, efficient, and flexible, I think, as we look at this and this how can that be, but we want to ensure that we continue to be able to be financially and physically solvent, so that we don't get into opportunity trouble, not being physically solvent.
When you mentioned a stabilization agreement, is that like the reserve is a floating number based on a formula?
It's set, not really a formula, it's set of saying, here's what that number, your reserve will be. So it's basically a resolution, a resolution that would be set each year, or at each interim period to make that adjustment.
Is it like saying, instead of saying 4%, it's saying 0.9 times total payroll, something like that?
You could, yeah. So it's just looking at the different ways of doing that. We still have to look at the minimum reserve of ensuring that we have 3% of the total expenditures for the general fund. And then anything above and beyond that, it's what are you setting at that recommendation, whether it's based off of payroll, whether it's based off of expenditures, whether it's based off of, you know, what the board would like to set that percentage on, or a dollar amount on, or whatever that 51 percentage really.
So what's the time frame that you're saying it's gotta be 3% of expenditures, but expenditures over what time frame?
Of that year,
Just the current
each year, yeah.
Okay, and so if my understanding is that if the money goes into this reserve, it's not it's not like it's locked up and we would have to like declare an emergency to access it if we needed it for.
You have to have the fund balance on hand to be able to set aside. So the $1 million that we have right now, we have, the $8 million or, in unrestricted, $8 million unrestricted right now. In fund balance, $1 million of that is set aside, so really available, all you have is $7 million.
That's what the minimum is.
That's the.
Yeah, the minimum three.
No, I get that, I'm just,
That's not what he
but I'm thinking more along the lines of like, there's a comment about it would tie up the money and I'm gonna say lock away, that's not what she said, but the money so that it couldn't be used for adding sections or something like that. But if we decided that at a later date that, no, we actually wanna use it to add sections or something like that, it's not like it's now a big, we wouldn't have to go through some sort of like declaration of.
If you go above the minimum reserve of 3%.
Let's say
the difference-
7%.
Yeah, the board would then have to make the decision to lower that.
And he gave you a few different options, so you can draft a clear board policy that calls up a higher number than 3%. We have the standard CSBA. Many districts choose to do a resolution. I think the difference there would be to revise our policy. Our current policy says we have to do the first and second read, so it could be a 2-meeting process. But we did do a little bit of research, and there are some districts that just have a designated resolution. And when you look at Windsor's policy, it looks just like ours, but they have a resolution on file they passed years back that set their minimum at 5%, so.
It's like, I think the question, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, it's like, I think the question is kind of like, well, what does it mean, like, if it's set aside, like, does that, like, what if you need it, or like, what if you want to then spend it, what does that mean?
Yeah, if you go below the reserve that's set, then you wouldn't be meeting that requirement, and you have a negative certification. That you can't meet, you can't meet your current obligations to the gas certification.
But you certify at 3 different parts of the year in which he goes through the budget cycle, so. I think the question is, how difficult would it be to access funds if the board did designate a higher reserve? And there are avenues around that.
So my question would be is if we don't change policy and we leave the policy the way it is, because I agree, I think trying to change policy is a little bit more difficult because it's a little more time consuming. And you don't want to just every time you turn around be trying to change that policy. So if we set a resolution and said that we were going to raise that percentage to something different, I think kind of what I'm understanding, and I think the confusion is then does that mean that we still have the money available to us at a moment's notice if we want it? Or do we have to pass another resolution that undoes that?
Yeah, you have to pass another resolution to change your reserve policy.
Okay.
And then Andrew would make the adjustments to the
Well,
budget.
you have to change it back down to 3, because if you go below 3, then you're.
Well, you can't go.
You can't. And those funds really are, then really truly aren't nothing. Yeah.
So if we, let's say that we did pass a resolution, because it seems like the magic number is covering payroll, which I think I ran the numbers like 6.4%, so we're really talking about 7%, right? So, could we include in that resolution that this had to be reviewed quarterly or twice a year or something like that, so that we can be a little lighter on our feet if we.
Yeah, we can say anything in the resolution, I think.
Yeah. I think it'd come back at your interim.
If we wanted to.
Yeah. At the interim reports, we're not gonna be able to make this reserve. We'll need to have an adjustment so that we do meet our reserve.
I will note that in 2008, we were allowed by the state to use our one-time monies and go down to only a 1% reserve. Many districts did that, and then I'm going to tell you it's very difficult for many of them to then pay themselves back, because then the state was like, okay, so now you need to get that money back. And that became very difficult. It's what put Oakland in the position that they were in back then, because they then couldn't find the money to put it back into the reserve.
There's two issues in my mind that are interwoven here. One is this issue of the reserve and my concern about not even having a month's payroll. The other one is this issue of the structural deficit, and we kind of talked about this a lot. And, you know, I'm mindful of what, you know, our partners, Brian and Lily, often point out, which is that the fund balance is often larger in reality than how we projected it. So there's truth all around in this thing, and I'm trying to sort it out. You sent me the fund balances for the past 10 years or so. And it's interesting because sometimes they go up and sometimes they go down. It's not like there's a steady decline. And should I be looking at unrestricted plus restricted or just unrestricted?
I think more so the unrestricted side, because that's what's really gonna drive that.
Unrestricted.
Yeah.
Over the past 8 years has gone from 2 million to 3 million to 4 million to 7 million to 9 million to 8 million to 6 million to 5 million. It's gone up and it's gone down.
Saw the influx in, you know, one-time monies and the district utilizing, you know, the approach to best allocate the appropriate funding source of that bank a little more, and then you're seeing the effects of obviously, you know, current ADA and our efforts with negotiations taking impact on that ending fund balance.
True, but the numbers are also the numbers.
Absolutely.
So I really want to understand what the so-called structural deficit really is. And I see it in your projections. And I know your projections are, you know, as good as you can possibly make them. This is not in any way not having incredible respect for how you do it. I don't know how you do what you do. It's a lot of spreadsheets. But anyway, these things are related because if we increase the reserve, it's going to pull cash out of our operational flow. And in theory, it's going to increase the structural deficit. And if we really are headed toward an increasing, a decreasing fund balance, then in a few years, we can be in serious trouble and we don't want to end up like Santa Rosa. That's like the nightmare scenario.
Yeah, the structural deficit though is really to where your expenses are outseeding your revenue.
So you're eating into your fund balance. So these two things are connected.
Yeah, and so the money that's kind of sitting in the bank right now, you continue to spend it, it's just eventually you're not gonna have it. Yes, money is still gonna flow in from the state based off their formulas, based off of, you know, the ADA that we have, based off of other little one-time funds that they do give to us. You know, there's a hope of an additional block grant this year and the hope that they're gonna repay the prior block grant that they clawed back some money on. So those are those hopes of, we hope somebody comes in to cover this to where we won't have that expenditures exceeding our revenue.
But something I want everybody to understand is we can't base a budget on hope. Right, Andrew?
Right, no, yeah, they're not built in here.
We hope that all of those things happen, but we cannot base any budget ever on hope. We have to, especially now when we're dealing with issues with the federal government besides, and we don't know what that's gonna look like. And it, you know, who knows? But I always caution everyone that we have to be very careful that we, yes, we have money so-called in the bank, but when you project monies out, you can't hope that there's going to be more to fill the coffer. And what happens if we do get another downturn in our enrollment? We don't know that. Or what happens when, like some of our fellow districts in the rest of the county that have 82% butts in the seats. That would really affect us greatly if all of a sudden we had a downturn in kids coming to school. It's a precarious position. It's one of the reasons why I sit on a task force with CSBA, trying to convince the legislature that we're going to actually stop daily attendance and paying us ADA dollars and actually pay us on enrollment like they used to. It became very convenient for the state to basically what's the word? Kind of slap us on the hand and slap our kids on the hand for not coming to school. And that seems so, so random. You got kids that are sick, they're homesick, they're an excused absence, and we still don't get any attendance for them. And in so many ways, it's so wrong. So those are some of my concerns.
It's like, I'm just curious, it's like, it just seems like if we increase it, that it's just gonna tie our hands from doing what we may have to do, or may need to do, or may want to do, and that it just comes down to, ensuring that you're doing smart decisions the whole move. And that, we'll hold it back just because we're just gonna go in there and grab it all seems like, I hope that wouldn't be what we would do, and that we would just ensure that we're doing the, best we can. If we have to, go down below 7 or get close to 3 in order to, pay and give the students, the best that we can do, then that seems like that's, what we should do, and just adding additional road blocks seems, I don't know, it just seems like it could get in the way, and I'm just not sure what the value is in doing that.
No, I look at school budgets a little bit differently than all you guys. Because I've sat on the other side. And I know CTA and probably CSCA both look at it that there's a lot more money there than what Andrew is showing. Because of the way school budgets are budgeted, unfortunately. And I've been on the side of the end of the year having, oh, look, we have an extra $3 million. Drives me crazy. And I don't think that's the way you do it. But it happens. And with that being said, I also know that I like having just enough money put away to have money so that the state doesn't have to step in and help us if we get to that point. Because that would not be a good spot for any of us, including everybody out there. So, I mean, I've never been involved in a district that only had 3%. So I was kind of shocked that that's where we were. I am only having 3% extra in my checking account is scary for me. So it would be, I think I would like to see a little bit more, but with the understanding that if we need it for other things, we're gonna take it down to that 3% again. It would be my take on it. Okay, go ahead.
I like that idea, Linda, that we actually give ourselves a little bit more buffer to be able to pay the bills if in fact we get to that point that we need to. But if we actually find that there's a need, we're not going to say no to a need if we have that extra reserve sitting there. This just gives us a comfort level, I think, so that we are not putting ourselves in a bind. We can't pay our bills with 3%. My biggest concern, we're talking here, just salary. And we have more than just salary that we have to pay. I will never forget the days and it happened a couple of times in my lifetime with my family when my mom had to work with creditors on who was going to get the $5 or the $10 that month. And I was very little, but boy, that surely hit home to me. So I think we need to be just a little more cautious and not just, I'm with you, if I have 3% only extra in my budget, it scares me to death. Because you never know when you need that refrigerator or that washing machine, you know, that just all of a sudden hits you in the face. Those things happen. So I just think that being on the more cautious side is probably better.
But it just, I mean, we aren't at 3%, so it's not saying we have to go down to 3% each year and spend it, right? I mean, it doesn't mean we can't ensure that we do feel good and safe.
Yeah.
But it just, it's like, I'm just not sure if we need the additional.
If we have the funds and we keep the 3 and don't increase it, but if we get close to getting down to the point where we have, it looks bad, things look bad, which I hope we never go there. But stranger things have happened. Maybe at that time, we should really step in and say, okay, 6% or whatever it is, or to cover things. Leave it as it is now, because we have plenty right now. Plenty.
Yeah, you have a fund balance, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so we have a little extra money to just leave it and see, and maybe pick it up again next year and look and see where we are.
I'm gonna try to paraphrase a little bit, and all that too. So Rita, it was interesting, I heard you say, the way I interpreted it was, if we're doing a good job as a board and we're working with our really talented admin folks, then we should know what's going on with the budget anyway, and we shouldn't all of a sudden wake up one morning and go, oh my God, we only have 3 weeks of payroll left. But that was, I hear you on that. Also the 3% or the 6% or the 5 or the 7, whatever it is really what's in the fund balance. I mean, right now, the fund balance is the fund balance. I guess I'm leaning toward that we should raise it, not a huge amount, but I think it gives us it's a wake up call. If we reach the point where we have to say, we want to lower it back to 3 because we really want to spend some of that money, then it'll just give us pause to be extra cautious about that. We can still do it. We're not totally hamstrung. But I think it just gives us a little more of an eye opener about getting that close to the edge.
A little bit more security.
So I guess I'm leaning toward a modest increase in the reserve.
I actually like what you just said, but I think the argument against that would be that once it goes in there, it kind of changes our thinking about it. And, let's say that a board in 3 years may not have this whole discussion to remind them that about how we would want to take the money out if we needed it or anything like that. It's like, well, this is our reserve, we gotta like protect it. And so I'm kind of undecided, actually. I'm not really sure what the right choice is here, because I'm not as concerned about feeling good about it as I am with, like, if we have to cover payroll or something like that, or like not wanting to like make sure that, not wanting to like hoard the money so that it can't be used for something else. So I'm gonna have to think about this a little more, I think.
The other counter argument is we're only talking about 1 month's payroll.
Yeah. Right.
Which is pretty close to the edge. If we're really,
Yeah.
if the fund balance real not projected, if the fund balance is really there, where we've got 4 weeks of payroll, not any of our other overhead expenses.
That's scary.
And that's a lot more than we have reserved.
But if we're gonna get down to that, well, we should have seen it coming way before that one month.
Yes.
What about I mean, this is just a discussion for tonight. What about we table this now and we bring it back after everybody's thought about this a little bit more and got a little more information? Is there any other information that anybody wants from Andrew or Chris on this? And then we bring it back next month and talk about it again and see if and maybe make it a possible action item next month. So if we want to move forward, we can, and if not, we don't have to.
I'm fine with that, and I would encourage the public to weigh in, like Lily, if you want to write us a letter with your argument about this, have at it, you know, I think we need all the data, it doesn't mean we're gonna do it, but just to be clear, but we need the input, because it's confusing, so that, I think if we put it off for a month, and we give time to receive more input, let's do that.
Is there anything that anybody feels like they want from Andrew on this?
And we have time for y'all to request that. We didn't intend at all to make any decisions tonight or make any strong recommendations from the district administrative side. We really just wanted an opportunity for the board's direction to have them to give you a chance to have a dialogue. We got May revise coming up and adopted budget in June, so plenty of time to discuss. So if there's any additional information or any resources, I welcome that from the board or the public.
Thank you, everybody, this was hard, but really valuable conversation, everyone here was extremely valuable. Okay, we're moving on to the easy stuff. Consideration of approval of the parcel tax measure audit, so all we're doing is approving the audit.
I move that we approve the audit for the 23-24 parcel tax measure, the audit report.
Second.
Anything?
Yeah, no, really, no, there was no findings, it was a positive audit, so. Yeah, that's that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Yay. Consider a discussion of the 24-25 parcel tax expenditures. Just to discuss.
Just want to let. The way that this parcel tax plan has come every year, it's come halfway through the year. And I thought, well, I'm gonna wait for the audit report to come, but I think what I want to do moving forward is probably put this as part of the budget development.
Yes.
Because it kind of seems off of how this gets presented each year and why it gets presented in the middle of the year, I don't know, that's just been the practice. So currently there's expected to receive $1.8 million through the parcel tax. That we currently have, is currently funding 53 sections and 2.0 FTE counselors at Annalee. The 53 sections are a combination 48 at Annalee and 5 sections at Laguna. And then we have the audit costs and all that. It's coming in just almost 1.9 million in expenditures. Each year, the parcel tax doesn't get finalized of what actual payments are for that year until the fall. We give us additional money from the prior year that comes in the fall. We have a starting balance of $176,000 due to the money that came in for prior year collected, the 1.8, expenditures 1.9, estimated fund balance for current year is 114,000. That will carry over into next year to fund additional salaries, and then estimated for 25-26, $91 million, and 26-27. As we say, we utilize all those funds with zero fund any amount in there, and then the last year of collection is the 27-28 year on this current parcel tax, which means that's going into our current multi-year projection of the parcel tax going away. So that's $1.8 million. That's rolling, it's going away, and eventually that staffing then rolls back into general fund to maintain the current sections that are actually being funded out of there.
So you're saying the parcel tax revenue is in the multi-year projection?
Yeah.
But the multi-year projection ends where the parcel tax also ends.
Yeah,
So there's a cliff
but
there.
next year's multi-year projection will have the
Next year,
27-28.
27.
Yeah.
And then that's the end of it.
Right.
Either-
Unless we get it.
We either
Yes.
do away with the 1.8 million in our budget,
Right.
or we pass it.
So that-
Which I don't know that we can I don't know that we can live without 51 sections.
Yeah, we need, it's interesting, the parcel tax is such a local source of funding, it's like, God, with what's going on federally and also the state level. It's nice to feel like we have a little bit of funding coming from right here at home.
Yes.
Yeah, so, you know, again, the expenditures are increasing, parcel taxes staying flat, kind of what's being collected, so those funds that we can't. The sections or positions we can't fund have to shift someplace else. And so we had some expenditures last year that were in there that had to shift back to general fund or other sources. So just keep that in mind as we come to this end of this parcel tax here and projected in the motion projection moving forward.
Chris?
Yeah.
When do we revisit whether to go for a parcel tax again?
We need to probably go.
Well,
think about
we're gonna be
bond first.
considering the bond first, and then the parcel tax, you know, we'll be talking with Greg Isom about that. And so that would be ahead of that, you know,
This fall?
27, 28. No, probably the following year, yeah, 26, 27. This next year, we'll be getting ready to, you know, recommend that the board consider passing a resolution for us to go out for the bond measure. So it's coming, it's right around the corner, and we've been really transparent with, you know, our labor partners and obviously the board and the community around the concern for that 1.8 million, and then in addition to that, the federal funding that's about $1 million combined for special education with kind of the current fiscal climate. So we're right on time with our conversation that we just had. So.
Yes, it is. I was just gonna say.
All right, great,
Thank you.
Good.
Next one. Yeah,
Next,
yeah.
are we good with this one? Okay, consideration of approval not to contest the Evelyn Green revocable trust, basically they want to get this money.
They want to, yes.
Somebody make a motion.
Yes, please, make a motion.
So moved.
Second,
I'll second.
thank you.
All right, so we received the trust from the M1M Green Revocable Trust that is bequeathing, if you will, $75,000 for a scholarship to be established in the Robert R. Green Memorial Scholarship. The Greens, from what I understand from the trustee, is that they were in this area for about 50 years, and really that's kind of and really the area, that's kind of all she knew about it. So if approved, then I will sign the non-contest agreement and send it back to them, and then we'll wait for the funds to be received, should they be available to us, and then follow the trust in giving those out accordingly.
And it's a scholarship for Far West County
Yes.
schools.
Okay. Yeah.
Great. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Human resources, consideration of approval of job description for communications specialist and administrative assistant position. Yeah. See if it supports or- Sorry, Dan, wait, I need a motion. All right. I move that we approve the job description. Second?
Second.
Okay, Dan, please.
Thank you. As you recall, at the March 12th board meeting, the board approved the elimination of the executive assistant to the superintendent position. At that time, district administration talked about using that opportunity to reimagine the position in the district office to really meet the current needs of the district. So what you'll see on this item is a new job description that really builds upon that executive assistant role, but really puts an emphasis around communications specialist aspect of the position. We've heard quite a bit, both from the board, from our labor partners, from site administration, and we've talked about at the cabinet level at the district about the need to really tell our story, to be able to communicate certainly internally, but even more so externally about the great things that are happening in our schools, in our district. we really know that we've heard even tonight, some comments about, the need for marketing, whether it's for new programs or just to really bolster, the great work happening at our existing schools. So, we have talked in the past, but other ways to try to garner those communication skills, but oftentimes going to outside sources, is first of all, not as effective, but secondly, far more expensive. Consulting contracts, those kind of things, can be very expensive for these types of services. So we really looked at this as an opportunity to bring the communication and marketing skills right onto our team and into our district office, while also still having the administrative support that you see outlined in the job description. So that's what we bring before you. Happy to answer any specific questions you have about the job description, and I'll also see if Superintendent Meredith wants to add.
Something to say.
Wait.
We're saving ourselves from the natural demographic decline in young people. We're saving ourselves because of enrollment. We're attracting interdistrict transfers, which is offsetting the organic loss of young kids. And so there's two things we can do to increase revenue. We can increase enrollment, and we can increase attendance, which hopefully at some point that last one goes away. But those are the two levers that we have. And as a small business guy, I keep telling Chris, we're a $32 million a year organization with no sales and marketing department. It's insane. We should have several people focused full time on increasing enrollment and dealing with attendance, because they would pay for themselves. So if we can have half a person focused on marketing, call it telling our story, focused on helping us increase enrollment, it's going to really help us. So I think it's great.
I was just gonna say, this is quite a job description. I'm just gonna say, you'll know the person right off the bat because they'll be wearing a cape.
I just wanted to say, I concur with Lewis on this, that this will be a godsend, and I do like what Dan said, when Dan said that we could spend money on contracts and spend a whole lot more money and maybe not even get what we can get out of this, because someone knows our story better if they're working with us.
Is the plan for it to be 50-50? It's like, is that the plan? I mean, I heard some talk of that, but I was curious about what the impact was. Great.
I think
it's hard to quantify, that particular number there. I think it's really looking at, from a perspective of absorbing some of those duties by, the district administration and prioritizing, what's been discussed tonight. So I think it's hard to quantify, Rio. I think that we really looked at the position leaning more heavily towards the communication side. Because that's what has been identified as the need right now. Some of those other things that can be picked up by myself and district administration. So
can we say that we'd like it to be at least 50%?
Use the microphone.
I think we're all in agreement that that's the priority, is to increase revenues and increase awareness through communication efforts.
Yeah, what I would say to that, there was some intentionality in the way we've branded the title, with communications coming first, as well as the way the job description is written. So while everything in there is important work that obviously needs to be done, we know that right now, in conversations we've had and what we're hearing from, all of our partners, and yeah, thank you, from the WASP review committee, even talking about all the great things we're doing, but needing to do a better job of letting other people know about all the great work we're doing. So there definitely was some intentionality around putting the communications piece at the forefront of this particular job description.
Any other discussion or comments?
Well, I think would be hard to quantify 50-50, because some days you're gonna have one whole day working on one thing, and then another time you may have, I mean, it's just the way, it probably will be fairly equal down at the end of the year. That's the only way you can look at it.
All those in favor?
I'm sorry, this is because I am also multitasking tonight. Who made the motion and the second on that? You recall? I apologize.
I made the motion.
I second.
Liz second.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Consideration of approval of confidential salary schedule.
It's me again, sorry, I'm making sure I get that down.
We need to make a motion.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve the salary schedule?
So moved.
Second,
I'll second.
thank you. Dan?
Okay, and so this is related to that first item. What we brought forward now is the adjusted confidential salary schedule with that new title position on there. You'll notice if you were to compare that to this year's salary schedule, there's actually no change in the steps, the amounts in each of the steps. The savings really is coming from, adjusting the job description to meet the current needs of the district at that same hourly range for those 8 steps. So that is the same. You'll see the new title on this confidential salary schedule is the only significant change to that.
Questions, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Consideration of approval of declaration of need for fully qualified educators. Also, we need a motion.
So moved.
Second. Jeannie and Louis. Okay.
Okay, this is an annual item that we bring forward. It's somewhat routine, and this is sort of our best guess. What this really does for us is it gives us a little bit of flexibility as we finalize staffing going into next year, that if we get in a position where we need to hire someone under a provisional internship permit, for instance, that kind of thing, or if somebody needs the alternative cloud certification, we have that leeway to be able to do so. We can come back, if those numbers were to change, or if some of the areas that we suggested we would need that aren't accurate, we can bring this back to the board for revision. But this really just, we bring it forward each year annually so that we give ourselves that flexibility should we need to do so. Now, I will say, and as you heard earlier, we've got a significant number of applicants for the openings that we have. So we're feeling really confident that we won't be in a position to really need to hire a lot of if any, candidates that have internship, short-term permits or provisional internship permits. That being said, we never know what happens, right? So things do come up, and so we just want to give ourselves the ultimate flexibility in that.
We can certainly thank Santa Rosa for that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Jenny? It's your roll.
Fine.
You usually
We need
do
to
that,
get a motion.
and then you get a motion.
Okay. Consideration of approval of resolution 23 and 24 and 25 for participation in the state school facility program. Do we have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Yes.
Okay.
We, earlier this evening, under one of the consent items, you approved a consultant contract with King Consulting. You're familiar with them. They've completed our demographic study. They've been to multiple board meetings. They also do school facility funding. They help districts manage the complex process of going after state money. That is for new construction, modernization, hardship funding, you name it, there's a pot of money available to it for facilities. And our district is eligible for quite a bit of money in the new construction realm as it relates to the career technical education, facility that we're building in a couple different pots of money with Proposition 2. And they will help us with, going after potentially $9 million just for that project, but we're gonna go after all the millions. That would go directly back into our bond program and allow us to complete more projects. The state allocation board process of sitting in what they call, the priority and funding list, it's exhausted currently for, modernization, but there is allocation available for new construction, and Prop 2 will be releasing their specific CTE grant soon. So we want to get a jump start on all of this. It is again, it's a lot of data gathering, so we have to provide a lot of information to then help us craft this. So this is the start of sending in all those resolutions to our friends at the Office of Public School Construction, so we can start that process. So this item and the subsequent item, all the resolutions. I'm happy to answer specific questions.
So we approved the cost of this consulting contract with them in the consent calendar.
We did, it was in the consent calendar, yes.
Questions, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Consideration of approval of resolution 26, acknowledging 6 certifications required to submit modernization funding applications to the Office of Public School Construction. We need a motion.
So moved.
We need a second.
Yep, sorry.
Good job.
Rio and I are taking care of it down here.
Jenny, tell us about resolution number 26.
It's again, just another one that we have to submit for the Office of Public School Construction. It basically says that we're gonna adopt some criteria, so, we can submit our applications.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Awesome. Measure A bond and budget project updates.
I'm going to give you some picture updates tonight. I was just pulling them up. I want to make sure, do I have any viewers at home anymore? Oh, it's Denise is still there, but I think she might be asleep.
She's seen these pictures.
She's seen the pictures before, it's fine.
Sorry, Denise.
Sorry, Denise. As you guys know, we've broken ground on the CTE project, and our contractor has done a really great job of capturing some of these photos. And I know not everybody gets a chance to read my emails or click on my photos, but I wanted to draw attention to, this is what the facility looked like prior to it being demolished, post what we call abatement. And I have a couple other, whoops, where are they? Where did they go? Where'd all my pictures go? Oh. My before demo. This is one, you'll notice there's a bunch of holes in the roof. And the fire department had a good old time. They heard that we were taking down these buildings and they contacted 3 different agencies, had 5 different trucks and over 40 different firefighters having a good old time before this building came down on Monday. Our contractor laughed and said, if we'd given them 10 more minutes, they would have had the buildings down for us. So not only did we have demolishing of the facilities, we had a great training opportunity for our firefighters who were cutting, as you can see, this building over here. I don't know what they left of it, but it was kind of funny. This is just active demoing. Just fun to share this stuff with you guys. They only let me sit in the excavator. They didn't let me scoop anything. I was really bummed. This is post all the buildings coming down, where we're still doing some site work. And our contractor's been so kind to throw their drone up. We have lots of videos. So our goal is to take pictures every week at the same time and do a time lapse eventually.
That'll be great.
This is all of you guys at the groundbreaking.
our gold shovels.
With your gold shovels. We should have one more, would have been even.
Not real gold, Chris says.
This is Denise and I, we took a picture with the gold shovels. And one of the most heartwarming things that's happened in my career, and it actually brought tears to my eyes earlier this week when a staff member alerted to me to Adam Alcorn's class being out there, and they were clapping and cheering on all the contractors, and the contractors have just been so tickled by it. He sent me a bunch of photos of the students, and they are taking this as a learning opportunity. And they're going out there once a week, and they are sitting out there, and they are cataloging what they see and writing it down as a project. And it has just warmed the contractors' hearts so much. And we'd love to have them be more a part of the construction along with other classes on the campus. It was just the highlight of my day watching or looking at these photos. And they were just so happy. And our contractors now notice them, they wave to them. And they just get cheered on when you're excavating. I mean, I don't know if it gets any better than that. So that's kind of one of the major highlights. We've had a lot of fun getting these projects off the ground. The Annalise staff, the students, the parents have been really patient as the project started. So it's been really great. Just a couple points of order. We're under 60 days before the end of the school year, which means we're in full-fledged mode to get our small gym, our main gym, coordinated for HVAC and roofing and new siding and new flooring. We're meeting with our contractors pretty regularly. We have active $40 million in construction right now, and that is pretty intense. There's lots of emails. I think I'm getting 100 an hour sometimes because there's all the submittals, the RFIs. The Laguna campus is pretty much done. We have some final painting. As you walked in today, it wasn't pitch black out. You could see that the campus has been painted. I really love the new color scheme. I think it really suits the campus. And it's coming along really, really well. The paving piece is almost done. It's finally starting to warm up. We want about 2 weeks of good weather before we will slurry seal the campus. Our goal is to do the slurry seal prior to graduation so that they can have a nice blacktop in the inner quad. So fingers crossed that Mother Nature cooperates. So all of our projects are going along really well. We talked with Chuck earlier this week about some summer projects. We'd like to paint the Student Services Center to match the color of the portables that were newly placed there. We really like that color scheme, and he was really excited to hear that. We're also looking at doing a minor library improvement project, just to give it a little bit of a refresh. It's an area that everyone on campus goes and utilizes that space. Julie was really excited, Chuck was really excited, and I think the campus will be pleased with a little refresh in that area. And then we will be planning to power wash the whole campus. Lily, I heard you loud and clear. I know you're back there, but that was just a treat and really something that the staff welcomed. So we've got a lot of plans for this summer, and it's approaching us pretty quickly here.
I was just gonna make a comment that if you haven't been by the construction site where they took everything down, you need to go look at it because it's amazing. You didn't realize what a footprint all those buildings and everything took up, and it's quite large. It was, when I looked at it, when we were there the other day, it was like, wow, this is amazing. So it's pretty amazing to see, and how quick it came down and disappeared.
We took down the building and the concrete pad in 5 days. It was highly coordinated because we did not want to be, that would have been highly disruptive to the campus, and prolonging it and waiting would have pushed our opening date by almost 6 months. Our goal is to be open fall of 26.
Yeah, awesome.
Jenny, first of all, thank you. This is amazing what you're managing right now. It's a lot. What's happening with signage for Laguna and the new academy?
That's kind of, hold on, there's people here. That's kind of on hold. I've been waiting for feedback on next steps. We put the sign out there at the front. That was our biggest, feat. That took a lot longer than I wanted it to, but it's out there. We purposely didn't put, because when you see those marquee signs, you usually see a header at the top with the school identified. We purposely left that off to have some conversation on what would go there, knowing that the AIA was coming in. I'm happy to restart the conversation. I also think maybe we want to hold off on something beyond just the name until the students select a mascot and school colors, so that we can try to incorporate that into any signage. I know that we will also want to pay homage to the El Molino campus. We've been waiting for the painting to get finished. The goal was, we really liked the El Molino signage right out here on the building, and we would take down school and replace it with campus, because this is such a prominent building. And then I'd be looking for direction from Chris, Greg, the founders of the school, along with the students, on how best and where we want to locate specific signage. But there is some lead times associated with that. Signage is complicated, apparently.
I feel bad that Laguna still has very temporary looking signage on the sides of the building. And it'd be great to just make them feel more, permanent.
I agree. The place where their sign is right now is where the AIA will be. And so I think there needs to be a conversation about like where signage should go and a signage plan. You know, finishing the painting and the facelift of this campus is a good place for us to start that conversation. And determine, you know, where we might even want to retire some signs, and like the one at the front of the school.
I thank you, Liz, for bringing that up. I agree. I think we should probably get it back on the agenda at some point so that we can have further discussion and maybe give some direction of what we're thinking and get some input from Greg and from Cole, thank you, and Chris, and just see where we all land on that. But I agree, because we need to do something. I love your idea about changing this out here, the El Molino campus. Absolutely.
That was Denise's idea, not mine.
Yes, she's smart.
Okay, the hammer's about to drop.
Yeah.
Anybody have anything, husband business? We're done. Thank you.
Got it. I like it.